Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone. How are y'all doing today? Good luck, Gaming God, with your appointment. Kirby fan, what's up? Luminous, how are you doing? Oh, hold on. Sorry. Okay, this is the start of the recording. Check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Cool. So today's stream is gonna be a little weird. Not gaming like usual. Instead, today, I'm gonna be kind of watching through the videos of the 3 game reviews I've done, and I'm gonna be kind of just, like, pausing at frequent intervals and sort of going more into the process. And then afterwards, when the stream's over, I'm going to do kind of an extended recording for Patreon, where I sort of go more in-depth. I'll pull up the actual, like, review projects, for instance, like Adobe projects, and I'll kind of go into those more. So if anyone's a Patreon patron, you can always check that out later. Alrighty, Luminous, I'm glad you're doing well. And thanks, Gaming God. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so today's going to be kind of an interesting stream. Let's do this. Peppa Pig, PT37, how you doing? Oh, I think that's... Hold on, who is that? Lloyd, is that you? Anywho, let me pull up the first review. Might not be as kind of like talking to chat all the time on this one, because it's obviously, if I'm going to be really going into these things, I think it's important that I don't really take, you know, that I get on a train of thought and I don't sort of lose it immediately. Hold on. Pause. Let's make that full screen. Where is the button for that? Yes? Is that... Yeah? Hold on. Just making sure I'm doing it right. Video full screen? Yeah, okay. And then I can remove the cursor. Okay, cool. So let's do this. I'm glad you're doing well. But yeah, so it's kind of an experimental stream, and we'll see how it goes. But anyway, let's get it started. Alright, so this is... Oh, let me kind of scooch on out of the way here. So this is the first review I did. It's my Bloodborne review. It's 17.5 minutes long, as you can see. Oh, and I'm showing the cursor today. But yeah, so let's just kind of start out. So this is something, and like I said, I'll be pausing frequently. But this is something I did kind of in all my reviews, was I had just sort of a silent intro of like, you know, this video contains, you know, may contain graphic violence, profanity, other mature content. And I tried to make it a little cheeky. If any of these bother you, then you can always just listen, watch it muted, or go watch a different video. Thank you. Which is kind of like me inserting a little personality into it. But something you'll see in all of them was that they're all either silent or have music. And there's no VO, which was kind of an intentional artistic choice. But something I'm actually thinking when I do another review, I'm actually going to change that. Because I've been really thinking about it. And I think a problem with that is, like, what if somebody is trying to appreciate this video? Because I think the auditory aspect of it's important. But what if they're trying to watch this video and they're blind, you know? So they don't get this kind of warning or whatnot. So I think maybe the next one I'll have some kind of like, this video may contain graphic violence, profanity, that kind of thing. Maybe for blind people, I think that would really be nice. Although, I don't know, I kind of struggle with that too, because are blind people playing video games? I don't feel like it's really necessarily a medium that's meant for them. I mean, video is in the title. It's kind of an important facet of what makes a video game a video game. It's not an audio game, although an audio game would actually be pretty interesting. But yeah, so I think I let that run for like 10 seconds, because I timed out me reading it, and I'm a pretty quick reader, so I tried to read it slowly. And then kind of just a fade in. I like my nice fade ins to the video. I think that's really, really kind of nice. And I tried to have like an intro. I tried to do like an intro stinger before
city streets of Yarnum,
the actual intro.
Crags of the Nightmare Frontier.
It's a little loud for me.
Bloodborne is one of the most creative and frankly haunting games I've ever played.
And so there, right there, thesis statement from ba da 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 da. Bloodborne is frankly, you know, one of the most haunting games I've ever played. Like, just making a statement. Nothing really too critical in this one. I think the other ones are a little more critical. And then I have the who am I? Da da da. And I've really actually struggled recently with trying to refresh that. So the stinger into the sort of da da da. Hold on, let's just play it. Well,
Games and I play video games.
as you can see, kind of funny here. The hold on. Whoops.
In order to fully show you
No,
why I love
whoops.
this game,
Too far ahead.
I play video games.
The text is like really.
Go.
Oh, spacebar pauses. The text is really jumpy there because I actually had to animate multiple text boxes. It was really weird, so I couldn't get like the spacing right, and so it would be like my was one, and then my name's I think was another one, and my name's James was another one, and so it was like this replaced by this replaced by this. So it wasn't one flowing text thing. Obviously now with the skills I know now, I would have just like done a kind of pan over reveal. Oh, I think the problem though was also like it's sort of my name's James and then below that. But still, I would have just like cut it, like cropped it. Probably that would have been a much more elegant solution. But I don't know.
Frankly,
Yeah, no, I
haunting games I've ever
could have
played.
totally done
My
that.
name's James and I play video
Hold
games.
on, I'm muting it.
Mom, go.
Yeah, and then you have the
Wait.
wah wah wah, which is that's actually a reference to Peanuts, which I think is fun. Oh God. Oh, the pitch and cadence on that is so bad. I think I really like fucked with the audio there.
Bloodborne.
And I actually made the music for that. The music's totally off key from it too, which I'll obviously improve next time I do this. But yeah, I made the music in I think Muse Score, I believe. And then on each of them, I tried to get kind of a different robotic voice, which was kind of, I don't know if it was a proper homage to like JonTron, but
I'm going to
anyway.
start by giving you a brief synopsis.
Oh
You
God,
are a
my mouse is
hunter,
being weird.
One who slays the beasts of the night, and you've come to the old city of Yarnum seeking something called pale blood. After being given
As you might see, I tried to kind of fade between the scenes I wanted. I was really like, really specific about getting the footage I wanted for this.
a blood
So
transfusion by an old man, you are told that
see there, that's not a natural in-game
you were
fade.
smart
That
to
was
come to
me.
Yarnum, a city known for its blood remedies, and are advised to visit the healing church to find that which you seek.
God, this took
After a brief
hours.
exchange, you are sent out into the open world where, if you are a normal player,
And actually, this is interesting because I didn't record my footage on my first playthrough of the game. So as you can see, I have a shit ton of blood points and all this. This was my second playthrough of the game to get that footage. And so I think that really made fighting some of the bosses at least considerably easier. But also, obviously, let me get the footage a little bit faster, though there was still massive amounts of footage to
like
cut
me,
through.
you will almost immediately be killed by this
So
huge-ass,
realistic, yeah.
intimidating werewolf. Now this
Oh, audio, the intimidating werewolf. Now that's an obvious example of like shoddy audio cutting, and I think that gets better in the later ones where I actually did less takes, but I did longer takes, and I think I was able to kind of splice my vision of what I wanted it to sound like and what I sound like a little bit better. Is it buffering for you? Let me see. No, it's fine on my end. Must just be your internet, sorry.
moment is brilliant for two reasons. Firstly, it teaches you
Ah,
that
that's
this
a good
game
cut.
will not hold your hand, but rather let you go where you want to. And secondly, that this game is insanely difficult.
And I don't know if this time, but there were a couple times where I think I might have let myself get killed just to, because the way I did this was I had basically like on Google Drive I had a spreadsheet of just like the name of what I wanted for the footage and then the time code, and then I would like write down the time code in the episode because I split it into like half-hour chunks, my recordings. And so yeah, that was
Now, for
kind of
some
interesting.
players, this difficulty may be
It's a
an
very
immediate
interesting
turnoff,
process.
And dissuade you from playing the game any further. But I implore you to see this game through. Not because it's about to get easier,
Because it's not. Sorry, that just makes me chuckle a little bit.
In fact, you will probably die hundreds of times throughout your adventure, but because you're
Sorry, I just really like. Do I have like a? Hold on. Do I have a go backwards button? No. How do I like? I don't know. I was hoping there was like a. Oh God, no. I can do by tens. That's fine. Where is it?
insanely difficult.
Yeah, here we
Now,
go.
for some players, this difficulty may be
You know what I mean?
a
Yeah,
turnoff and
da,
dissuade you
da,
from playing
da.
the game any further. But I implore you
Not
to
because
see
it's about
this
to get
game
easier.
through.
But there's a
Not
funny,
because
just
it's
this
about to get
compilation
easier,
of deaths
because
I think
it's
was
not.
really
In
fun.
fact, you will probably die
And the sound of the character screaming every time is great.
hundreds of times throughout your adventure.
Just trying to get all these different angles of deaths. It was so fun to get certain aspects. Some stuff was like rare occurrences or just some shit where it's like it really annoyed me the first time I played it, but then the second time it was impossible to find. Yeah, like it was really hard to summon for co-op, which actually is a point I bring up later in the video.
But because your future victories will be so damn satisfying that it makes the struggle well worth it. Let me put it this.
All right, so the series obviously is called What I Think About, and this is definitely where the opinion drops into it. But I'll let you hear what I say about this.
This way. In an easy game, one in which you rarely die and every boss is a breeze, there is a much weaker level of satisfaction to be had from doing anything.
Fun sound effect. Yeah, that's kind of that's a good thesis statement, and I try to kind of interweave different games. I feel like that adds a good element of ethos, and so obviously interweaving Twilight Princess in there as like an example of a game that's way too easy. Because it is. Twilight Princess is, for its atmosphere, way too easy. Like, it really tries to put on this sort of facade of being, like, a really dark and grim game. But last time I was playing with my friend Kieran, and you can just turn into wolf form and just charge up your spin move, and then just kill everything around you. And you can just do it over and over. There's no cooldown. So, it's like, way too easy. And immediately, the ludonarrative dissonance just totally threw me off.
Bloodborne, a game at which you could be killed at any second. Your
Yeah,
personal
that
stakes
fucker
and
got me a
investment
couple
are much
times.
greater, and there was a permeable weight given to every action that you take. This is perfectly embodied by each and every one of its gameplay systems, of which I'll cover the
main three. And this is kind of something I tried to interweave more organically later, which is that in this first review, I was very, like, by the books. Like, I even wrote, like, a template for myself that I was like, oh, I'll use this template for all my reviews, which I didn't pan out later. Also, you can see a nice fade effect here. But it obviously didn't pan out that way. But for this first one, it was to me, very cut and dried. Like, I just want to be like, here are my points, go into each point, try to make it flow together. But definitely in the later reviews, I feel like it's... sorry, just got to scoot over. I feel like it definitely flowed together much better in my later reviews. Also, yeah, I did shave yesterday. Yeah, it feels nice, by the way, to be clean shaven.
Character interactions, environmental exploration, and combat.
Probably should have bullet pointed those instead. Like, 3 types, bullet point, and I think I just want to make them their own unique, distinct thing at the time. Obviously, this was like 3 years ago now, so it's a little foggy, but I'm pretty sure that's what I wanted at the time.
Now, when it comes to characters, this game boasts
I should have done more of a fade there. That's kind of a weirdly harsh transition.
range, if rather small, of very interesting NPCs that you get to speak to and interact with.
I like the
And
cuts,
what
though,
you
between
say
characters.
can
I think
influence
that's
the
actually
rest
really
of their
nice.
lives. Particularly once you reach the Odin Chapel, which serves as a safe haven for characters.
And this is a nice, just kind of like
and where you can tell
shot
NPCs
too of
to
like
go to
nice
stay
stuff in the
safe.
game.
Now, the
Yes, okay, I love that. See, and I tried to interwork that the diegetic audio from the game. I also did shave, yeah, my beard, but I like using the diegetic audio from the game to respond to something I say, and trying to just kind of weave it all together is really fun.
most notable aspect of this system is that certain people you save will, out of the goodness of their hearts, draw their own blood and give it to you in thanks.
Which, I want to say, that is kind of interesting, the characters, how they'll give you, like, their own blood vial. Like, you can see Yosefka, Ariana, and it is, like, nice. It gives you, like, nice buffs and stuff. But the thing is, you can only get a limited number, so for me, the kind of player I am, I was always too afraid to use it anyway. Except I think in my most recent playthrough, I actually used it because I was just trying to get the trophies, so I didn't care. But yeah, no, it's pretty useful, though, I gotta say.
Blood serves as incredibly handy extra health potions that also give you buffs.
Kind of fun saying that
So,
since I never
if you
used it.
inform a particular character of the chapel.
This guy, this is kind of an interesting guy right here, because if you basically tell him about Odin Chapel, he'll go there, and he will, like, slowly over time, as you complete stuff in the game, he'll start killing off other people. like the other townsfolk you send there to be safe. And I really like that because it's unexpected, but you have to kind of use context clues, right? Like he's in the middle of a pile of bodies. He looks like he's eating a body when you find him, and he's obviously a beast. Yeah, but if you just hit him, then he turns into a giant monster, and you got to get the fuck out of there. Poison knives, way too overpowered against this guy. I don't know if I... No, I don't think I used him in this run. For now, at least. Yeah, if you complete all their quests, I think they die anyway.
And again, you might never even meet this character in the first place, which brings me to the second concept that's brilliantly given weight by Bloodborne's system of risks and rewards.
God, I talked so quickly in this review. I really needed to slow it down. But I think I was trying to keep the pace up at the time because it was like 17 and a half minutes. If I did it now, I probably would have just made it longer. Try to keep it more comprehensive.
Which is environmental exploration.
Here we are, already on point 2.
Now, environmental exploration in Bloodborne, or as I like to call it, guided open world exploration.
Fun camera angles. I should have done little sound effects with it. That would have been neat.
The player is fully free to explore every area that they can reach with.
I am looking at the chat, by the way. I'm just not necessarily responding because I'm trying to keep a train of thought here.
In the created environment. This means that while you can't scale every hill and building...
Oh, yes, that was kind of an important point. Like, Bloodborne's really cool where it has these really well-designed maps and areas, and you can't, obviously, like I said, climb every hill and building. It's really, like, in-depth, you know? Like, all these areas are, like, interlinked, and you can kind of travel between them, which I think is really neat.
And the world is filled with so many hidden nooks and crannies that you'll never be in want of some new place to explore.
Look at that, an item.
Additionally, this exploration, coupled with the lethality...
I really should have left a beat there. I needed more beats. Obviously, the pacing, I think, is kind of breakneck on this first one, as I was really finding my voice. Which means that it's quite a bit rougher, I think, than the later ones, but there's also a certain charm to that, I feel like, that you don't necessarily get with the later ones, where they're definitely, you'll see they get more refined as they go, but this was a really interesting thing to make, I think, at the time.
Of enemies creates tension, for the player never knows what dangerous fiend might be lurking.
And this scared the shit out of me when it happened. That fucking guy, he's like a Cthulhu head. This game is very Lovecraftian, and that guy, like, not only does that, but he grabs you and he fucking, like, sucks your brain. And he also steals your insight, like, multiple, which is a real dick move.
It encourages you to take in the game's aesthetic environments, which is a pleasure in and of itself due to the stunning graphics, beautiful gothic architecture, and just generally...
Fun fact. This small piece of footage is the only footage I didn't record. This because, okay, so here's the thing. Canehurst Castle might be my favorite location in all of Bloodborne, and when I get back to streaming the game, this is going to be the one I'm really going to love exploring, because you start here, right at the front. You explore the whole fucking thing, even up to the point of, like, the rooftops and stuff. It's really, like, the most in-depth area, I think, in the entire game. You tried to get some of those books, yeah. Yeah, but it's, if are you talking Lovecraft? You can actually get a complete collection of H.P. Lovecraft for, I think, like $30. It's like nice hardcover, really nice volume. I have it around here somewhere. But yeah, so this is the only piece of footage, though, because on that playthrough I was really packed, like, or rushed for time, and so I actually didn't manage to make. I forgot about this area. And so this is the only footage in the entire review that's not mine, which I always felt kind of guilty about.
Really cool art style. Additionally, it forces the player to slow down a bit and learn to spot potential traps, strong enemies, and other such hazards in the upcoming zone.
And those are some good points right there too, but also something else I'm noting is, like, I definitely tried to get a good range of, like, environments, and I slowed down, like you can see right here. I slowed down for, like, cinematic shots. See, like he's like, you know, I wouldn't normally look around like that. I would normally just fucking run up the hill.
Which can give the player a
see, I kind of, like, slow down and look around, which I think is good.
Strive for in that particular area. What would exploration be if there weren't any cool...
But what would exploration... I sound fucking drunk in that take, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I guess it was the best take I had. I don't know, I definitely got lazy with the recording of these, and probably more so as it went on. I just happened to get lucky and have good takes. But especially in this one, there's a few takes where I'm like, I should have redone that. But it's really hard because you'll I script it all, obviously. You have to. So I would record a line, right? And then I would do a second recording and a third recording, just to make sure, like, if I said something horribly, I could redo it. But the thing is then you have this weird problem where, let's say there's a lead-in, like, it's like, do you know what Bloodborne is? And then the second one, and then after that I say, it's a really good game. So, like, it sounds weird, but it also matches the inflection of the sentence, the question. The answer matches the inflection of the question. Whereas, like, on a second recording, I might have the question and answer have a completely different inflection. So then you have this problem. It's like, you know what Bloodborne is? It's a really good game. And it, like, sounds really awkward and weird to try to splice different takes and footage together. And so that was a really unique challenge I think I had. And so my solutions definitely weren't perfect, but all in all, I'd say it didn't really end up too badly, honestly.
Areas to explore. Now, fortunately...
Oh, that cut. Hilarious to explore. Now, and I think I was trying to time that with the hands, but... And also because it sounds so awkward, I was like, let's move past it. I was like a magician pulling hats out of or tricks out of a hat. Like, this was shit. Look at this, But yeah.
Though, Bloodborne is filled with so many amazing, intricate locations to scour that rather than discuss each one in banal, flowery detail, I'll just show you, shall I?
Hold on.
Now,
Okay, I'm gonna pause here because there's an important point I'd like to make. First off, the montage is too short. I think I timed it out for 10 seconds. But when you play it back and listen to it, 10 seconds ends up being way shorter because I actually like that it's so breakneck, and then up to that point you have this, and my dad actually mentioned it when he watched it for the first time, you have this nice, like, just relax and take it in. So my first kind of critique of that is that it definitely should have been longer, and the second more important critique is that a lot of the environments in that montage are kind of the same, or they're similar areas, like they're these kind of dark cityscapes. And I definitely feel like there's a lot more areas that I could have done. Like, if I, for instance, I actually did go to Canehurst, which I should have, I could have gotten some nice footage from that. Or maybe the first, like, the Hunter's Dream, or because some of the environments do look similar, but I feel like there's enough, or some more, like, nightmare shots, maybe from, like, Murgo's Loft. But there's definitely, like, more... It's a very dark game, but there's different lighting and different diverse environments, and I really wish that montage had been a little more varied. I also think I skipped Hemwick Charnel Lane in this playthrough. Basically, the playthrough I did for recording footage was like, all right, it was hella... I knew it'd be a long endeavor because this game is long, and so I was trying to rush through it as fast as I could, which meant getting teammates on every boss, and just dashing through and blitzing as much as I could, only really doing side stuff for, like, characters if I needed the footage to make a point. So Hemwick Charnel Lane is a total side area, skipped it, I should have had more footage from Yahar Ghul Unseen Village, because that's kind of a cool location, and I don't think I had any shots from that. And there was only one shot from Murgo's Loft there, in that montage, but definitely getting more shots throughout the game for that, I think, would have been good. And I think there's a shot of, like, the Nightmare Frontier there, too. But, could be wrong about that. Oh, hold on. There we go. All right. Yeah, this is from... Yeah, although I should have shown, like, running down... Although I think I already had a shot of that earlier, but still.
Now, I previously mentioned...
And I tried to make the shots as kind of diverse as I could, but I just think I needed to... I think I tried to get too many environment shots early in the recording, and so I needed to really wait until later and try to get, like, one from every environment. I think would have been good. But definitely shot myself in the foot by not hitting up Hemwick or Canehurst, because those are two really unique and interesting environments that I think would have looked really cool.
mention how deadly the enemies are, but did I mention how freaking cool they look? I'm talking bug
that guy's an ambush
suckers,
enemy.
dogs, oh my.
That was a fun little Wizard of Oz reference there for anybody who caught that.
Every enemy type is unique and each possesses a special and distinct moveset, degree of agility, amount of health, and damage out.
I like that there's actually something kind of funny in this clip because this doesn't really demonstrate my point because it's like, man, these enemies are so different. And then it shows shot after shot of me beating their asses with the same giant club, which I think I only realized really after I put it all together, and I just kind of, it made me laugh a little bit, and I found it funny, so I just sort of kept it that way.
Additionally,
Ooh, that was a nice little cube spin. I don't know, it's fun to notice different transitions I did, and I've tried to mix those up definitely more in the later ones too.
every new area that you enter contains
Especially the cube spin merged with the dong of discovering a new area, I think really went together well.
a host of new enemy types to fight. Now, speaking of fighting,
Not really necessarily a good
combat in
example of my
Bloodborne can
point.
best be
If I'd gone to Hemwick, I probably could have used that footage there too, because right when you enter the forest, there's like a bunch of enemies there. But anyway.
described as a deadly dance. Its primary mechanics consist of dodging foes' attacks and retaliating with your weapon of choice. However, that's merely the tip of the iceberg. You see, hidden within the deceptively simple
Another
combat
odd audio
is an
cut.
added layer of skill-based combination sequences. One of these I like to call the dodge strike, whoosh, in which immediately after successfully dodging an opponent's attack,
I like that I didn't bother to get a sound effect. I just made it with my mouth and whoosh, instead of getting like a whip crack or something.
the player can perform a kind of charging thrust or sweep that can be used to take on foes with a longer reach. There's also a move in which
That's bad. Hold on. I want to go back a tiny bit because you can hear there's like a weird mouth noise in there. Hold on. That I definitely would have fixed if I hold on.
or sweep that can be used to take on foes with a longer reach.
There's also God, that's so bad. Anyway, it's weird to listen to now.
A move in which, after performing a series of light attacks, you
With that, I'll actually say with that real quick. It definitely was, and you can hear me making mouth noises, but this is a stream. There's nothing I can do about it. I can edit audio better in a recorded thing. But, yeah, when the budget gets cut, exactly. Well, the thing is this was like a 6-month endeavor putting this together between the recording, or the scripting, the recording, the editing, and actually that process, I think, got a little bit shorter review to review, to the point where, like, the Crypt of the Necrodancer review, arguably, I'd say my best script. I wrote it in, I think, a day while I was on vacation, and then I had to refine it a little beyond that, but, like, and then the recording I did, it's a really short game, so the recording was easy, but I did that in maybe a week, and then I edited it in, like, 2 weeks, so all in all, it was, like, maybe about a month's process I can approximate, but, like, this, you know, there's definitely a difference there. But it was really taxing for me, this whole thing, too, because I had no idea what I was doing. But it'll be interesting to see kind of how aspects get refined as it goes.
from your trick weapon, which subsequently performs a heavy attack. Chaining attacks in this manner can serve to help stagger larger foes and rack up damage on tankier enemies. However, rather than letting you use these attacks over and over to easily defeat an enemy, Bloodborne balances its combat brilliantly.
I remember that line took me a couple takes where I was like, like, I fucked that line up like 6 times. That's one of the few lines that I distinctly remember absolutely wrecking repeatedly. But yeah, anyway. Also, I think... one other thing I wanted to briefly bring up is that a weird aspect of this review specifically is I get really deep into, like, the mechanics of it, and it's almost like part of it's like, I recommend it because of this, this, and this, but at the same time, I do feel like I went too deep on specific stuff.
With the inclusion of a stamina bar. Running, hitting, dodging, and dash jump.
Yeah, that's a good cut. That's a good couple of cuts. But, yeah, definitely, though, like, bringing up all those things, I think, was important to make my point, but it's also weird as a comprehensive review that I went that in depth. And I think, while it complements the overall video, it definitely padded runtime maybe a little more than it should have.
All use up your stamina bar, and once your bar is fully depleted, you must wait for it to replenish in order to perform any of these actions again. Now, your stamina does come back over the course of a few seconds. However, during its replenishment time, you are left almost completely vulnerable to your enemy's attacks, which, believe me, is a terrible position to be in. Oof. Ouch.
Man, that audio is weird to record. The oof, ouch, because I think it was like oof, and then I didn't know how long, so I just left a long pause, and it was like ouch. And those might have even been two different cuts. But sometimes, like, it's a funny moment, but sometimes those moments I feel like could have been done better. And that's like the type of thing that I definitely have refined in later ones.
Now, there's one aspect of combat that I haven't yet discussed, and that's Bloodborne's completely unique
God, the lighting on this is so dark. I really should have, like, done some post-production and brightened it up, but I don't know. I feel like that would have made everything else look weird, so maybe not.
parrying system. See, unlike the Dark Souls games, to which Bloodborne is pretty closely related.
Should have had a sound effect there. I don't know why I didn't. I think it was just another time thing. Oh, have a good one, Lloyd. But I think it was another timing thing, where it's just like it would take too much time, but I should have had, like, a boop, boop, boop on that. That would have been cool. Also, weird. It really shows when this was made, because Bloodborne technically. Hold on. Bloodborne technically it came out before Dark Souls 3, which means that maybe even Dark Souls 2. I think only Dark Souls 3 though. But anyway,
The
it's
player
just weird.
access to a host of ranged weapons that they can wield in their left hand, the one not holding their melee weapon of choice. And these ranged weapons can be used by the player to damage and even stagger certain foes.
Again, I'm noticing I talk too quickly in this, where it's even hard for me to keep up with the points I'm making right now. Definitely something I think I got a little better at later on, but I'll be interested to see. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like, I took a lot of notes for this after I put it out there. And that was definitely one where it was like, you just kind of talk about some of the stuff. You don't really say what you think about it. However, I do think as to that point, I don't necessarily talk about it after the fact, but I say right beforehand. I can go back a little bit.
Your enemy's attack.
I think I said Bloodborne balances its combat brilliantly with the inclusion of a stamina bar, which was kind of me saying, and maybe I should have elaborated more, that could definitely be my flaw there. But definitely I think that was at least an attempt to bridge the gap and be like, this is great, because it prevents, and there was no because is the problem. It's like, this is great.
Which, believe me, is a terrible position.
Yeah, anyway, hold on, let's just go ahead here.
Unlike the Dark Souls games, these ranged weapons can be used by the player to damage and even stagger certain foes.
Staggering is really
The
important.
shot is timed to land in the middle of an opponent's attack.
It's actually amazing that I pulled that off. I'm really usually bad at staggering enemies, honestly.
Now, in order to balance range,
This was weird because I actually had to do a freeze frame here. And you might actually be able to hear... Hold on. Let's see if you can hear the audio in the background if I didn't bother to cut it out.
weapons, the player is given a limited supply of ammunition, in this game called Quicksilver bullets, which are fired in varying amounts by every ranged weapon.
No, I should have had some kind of like... I should have had some kind of elevator music play there or something. At least I cut the game audio during that point,
Now,
though.
this weapon type leads me into one of the games.
But yeah, in the actual video, raw footage, I think I was scrolling through that list, so I had it, like, stopped right there, which is kind of funny.
Some smaller system.
This, by the way, is the best area in the game, I would say, arguably, to grind. Because you can just run through... Basically, you run through it the first time, and then you open up a gate, and then you can run through it almost backwards, because it's like a circular area. And you can run through it backwards and kind of sneak attack a lot of the enemies, like right now. And they give a decent amount of blood points, especially mid-game. And you can visceral attack this guy.
During this attack, the player
and there's a guy directly to his right, and he just doesn't even care. Doesn't even notice.
yanks out something?
I assume it's a heart. I don't really know, though.
Isn't very clear, but it's obviously some very important organ because boy does it do a crap ton of damage. I mean, jeez.
Yeah, this footage is flawed, this one right here, because I feel like I should have probably opened with this one and then cut to the other one. Because this visceral attack actually doesn't kill the guy. Like, it does a crap ton of damage, but it doesn't kill him, and it really kind of...
have a hard time digesting any more hunters without your small intestine.
And also, the fact he dropped an item is just... it's just fucking sloppy, man.
That's pretty painful.
That item really bugs me there.
I'm so sorry.
It's an item drop, that's what the
By
light
way,
means.
have I mentioned
This is a fun cut, though.
this game's almost comedic ragdoll effects? I mean, they're not really important to the game at all, but I find them funny. Yeah.
I should have had a better cut there, but I actually don't mind that kind of small diversion. I think it's a nice sort of, once again, like the 10 seconds of silence. It's a nice breather from like, this point, this point, this point. Hey, these ragdolls are fun. Yeah. Let me move on.
So now that I've thoroughly discussed the monsters
Should have been maybe more of a beat there, though.
and combat mechanics in Bloodborne, I think that it's time to talk about what really
Ooh,
makes
this was a
this
cool
game
moment.
special.
Yeah, the
Speaking, of
fucking
course,
cleric
about
beast.
Other hunters and bosses. Now I know that the idea of a boss is generally an overused, banal bore fest, but
Overused banal bore fest. I really could have done more alliteration there. Missed opportunity.
by golly, Bloodborne just gives such new life to the ideas to make it feel fresh and exciting again. But before I get into talking about all of the area bosses, I'd like to touch up on the other hunters.
This is kind of cool right here. Like, Eileen the Crow's probably one of the cooler characters, I'd say.
You see, during your adventures in Yharnam and the
I know I'm talking about the game as much as I'm talking about the review, but it's kind of important because, I don't know, I think there's thoughts on the game that I left out at the time. And one interesting thing to note, too, which is that I hadn't and still haven't done the Old Hunters DLC, which means it's technically an incomplete review, but I only feel justified because I titled it What I Think About Bloodborne and not What I Think About Bloodborne The Old Hunters, although it's odd that the thumbnail I use is technically from The Old Hunters, but I don't know. Weird discrepancies, but I'm more or less okay with it.
greater world, you will encounter several other hunters, much like
Ooh,
yourself,
this guy's
whose
cool.
goals often parallel your own, to hunt and kill the beasts plaguing the city and end the nightmare. And while these hunters can often
You could have had better video cuts there.
serve to aid you in your fight, there are those who have gone mad from overconsumption of blood.
Should have had a
and now
slower fade in.
slaughter all that they encounter, man and beast alike. From Father Gascoigne to Eileen the Crow,
Hold on. Did I even get a cut there? Weird.
who have gone mad from
Hold on.
overconsumption of blood.
This is
and
a good
now
fade in.
slaughter all that they
And I still don't know how to pronounce him. Is it
Man
Father
and beast
Gascoigne or
alike.
Gascoigne?
From Father Gascoigne to Eileen the Crow.
Oh, that okay. I did cut to Eileen the Crow. I should have had a more distinct cut and better lighting, because you can actually fight her, I think, in multiple locations. So that's on me. The thing is, this was 3 years ago. I definitely didn't know as much about the game as I do now, which is something I've definitely refined too. Is trying to know more about the game that I'm reviewing, which is good.
Hunter possesses a unique set of weapons and armor that the player can usually gain access to throughout the game, and this, combined with their immense maneuverability and intuitive dodging, can make fighting
This guy's an asshole. I just want to say there's a funny clip on the channel of this guy. You have to climb up a ladder to get to him, and in the clip he just throws like 3 Molotov cocktails at me and just takes me out in seconds. It's really funny.
them feel almost like fighting a copy of yourself. It reminds
That's an interesting point too, because I would say some of the best fights in games are mirror matches, where you're fighting something with about the same skill set and strength as yourself. Those are always the most interesting and engaging fights, especially when the AI is really well done.
me of a more complex version of the Shadow Link fights from Zelda 2 and Ocarina of Time,
There you go, another kind of Zelda parallel, but in this time in a positive light.
and acts as an ultimate test of the player's ability to outmaneuver and, more importantly, outthink an opponent just as quick and strong as themselves. However,
Yeah,
as
well said.
tough as these hunters are, they are outclassed only by Bloodborne's bosses.
Shoulda faded to silence there, and then faded into loud noise. It would have been better.
Generally huge, hulking,
And I could have slowed that down. Huge, hulking, like, and then cut, black, cut, black. That would have been more impactful, but it's fine. It's really, and I've really refined editing since then too, which is like, yeah. But the creative vision at the time is there. Like, it just needed refinement, I think.
grotesque creatures.
Ugh.
The bosses in Bloodborne put every skill that the
Oh,
player
this
has
boss is
learned
nasty.
and practiced to the test.
Ugh, he's a
With
gross
their
boy.
massive strength,
Oh, that guy's an
large amount
asshole.
of health,
Amygdala is my least favorite boss in the game. He's a real piece of shit.
multiple phases and quick organic attack patterns.
Yeah.
The bosses in Bloodborne possesses a
Good
real
set of
weight
cuts,
to it
me.
that keeps the players
Well done.
on their toes
Could have been more impactful at the beginning, but I think the later cuts there are
and
good.
rapidly switching attack strategies in the hope of
Also, sorry if the rapid pausing is bothering anyone. I think it's useful.
finding some barely perceptible weakness, be it a vulnerability to lightning attacks, a difficulty in turning around, or perhaps even simply a slight telegraphing of an attack that they're about to use, as in the case of Margot's wet nurse, which might leave them vulnerable to a counterattack immediately after. Fighting bosses in Bloodborne is all about understanding exactly when to seize an opening to strike and when to hang back. Now, of course, there are some bosses that pull some
good
ranged
example.
bullshit. I'm looking at you, Amygdala, stupid freaking laser.
Which I don't know why I had so much trouble with the fucking laser in this playthrough. I refought him in the Chalice dungeons, where he's actually harder later, like in my last run that I did to get the trophies. And like, it's really easy to dodge his laser. Although, to be fair, I think I was fighting him on my own this time. and that time, and the most recent time I had like 2 teammates, so maybe they distracted him to make his aiming a little worse. I don't know. But they were pretty easy to dodge as long as you don't lock on.
Stupid unfair a boss might be.
Stupid unfair a boss might be. That's a good timing of my voice with the action on screen. I was pretty proud of that.
They are always killable, and the satisfaction that you get from taking out a...
This footage I don't think exists. I think the video file's corrupted. I was reloading up all my old projects for these videos, and the Bloodborne one especially was a fucking mess. Took like an hour to get fixed up. But anyway, this footage, I couldn't seem to get it to work. So this small clip of footage here from that episode that I recorded for that may no longer exist. I don't know.
Beast who's been plaguing you since 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't
that it was
have
all
this.
thanks to your
It's
own
weird.
Skill and
And I'm never beating him again to get that footage again, so fuck it.
Determination is truly a satisfaction like no other.
And that fade actually kind of annoyed me because I beat him and I do this like gesture, but then I don't know why when I was recording this, what I was thinking, I think I pulled up my gesture menu to try to do like a haha, but then by the time I did that, my teammate went away. And so I didn't get like a exact right thing there. But if I just hadn't pulled up my gesture menu, would have just had this nice fade with me bowing and them ha-haing. But you have this at the last second, you can kind of see as it's fading to black, pulling up the little thing. Anyway.
Of course, there are some bosses that can feel simply too hard to tackle alone.
This guy was a pain in the ass the first time. Easier with teammates though, for sure.
And that's where Bloodborne's online system comes into play. Early in the game, you acquire an item called the Beckoning Bell. And with this item, you can summon up to 2 fellow players to your aid. Of course, there are numerous times where this can be useful. However, as the bell uses up a limited currency you acquire called Insight, I've found that it's
I don't know what the
best
fuck
to
that
only
bot's
attempt to
doing.
summon players when truly necessary. And it should be noted that there are several...
If I was better at gestures, I could have had a better shot there. Like, it's so boring to watch me look through the gesture list.
bosses such as Rom the Vacuous Spider,
Yep.
who I only beat with the help of fellow players, and that the victory felt hardly less satisfying as I had still
This frustrates me too. You can't see any other players in that shot. I think there's a bot or another player around somewhere, but the fact you don't see him in that shot... I do like the fade to white there, though, and then into black. I think the fade to white is from the game, and then the fade to black is from me. But I think that just flows really nicely. Hold on. I want to see, though, if I think that beat should be longer.
And that the victory felt hardly less satisfying as I had still finally beaten a foe who I'd been struggling with for days.
Fade to black.
This time,
you can, first off, I should have definitely, for days, and then I should have cut the audio there, or removed it, or very much quieted down, because you can hear... Like, you can hear tiny mouth noises. It's really bothering me now. I don't know if I listened to it through headphones much at the time, or if I was just lazy, or really tired because it had been like 6 months, but I don't know. And there should have been a longer pause before I said it this time. And I think that was another example of me trying to just cut it down, because it was like, 18 minutes or whatever, and I cut it down by, half a minute, because I think a lot of complaints that I got were, it's too long, but I really just should have stuck to it. Would have been better.
I'd like to point out that Bloodborne isn't perfect. And in fact, 2 of my biggest gripes about the game pertain to its summoning system. The first and foremost being how long you have to wait for a friendly player to arrive. Now, I understand that it's been a while since the game originally came out, but it is so frustrating to have to wait 10 minutes for an ally to arrive so that you can finally fight that boss together.
Still a relevant complaint. Last time I was playing, it takes fucking forever. Even in the stream, like we were trying to get a boss to fight the dudes that are guarding Bergenworth, and it's just like couldn't find anyone, so I just went in there and tried and died a bunch. It was lame.
I mean, sometimes an ally never shows
Nothing's
up,
perfect, absolutely.
I wish the game had a system built in that made it so that if no real
Like the
players
clouds
are
moving in the
successfully
background.
summoned within,
That's
I don't know,
nice.
a minute or so, an NPC hunter would arrive to lend a helping hand. I mean,
It's actually not a bad idea for a mechanic. If a human doesn't show up in like a minute, make an NPC appear instead. That's not awful, actually. I think I had something there. From Software. I'm down if you want to hire me for my great ideas.
the game already has designated spots where old hunters can be summoned through the use of the Old Hunter's Bell, so it's not a stretch to think that they could have fairly easily expanded upon that concept a little. However, it should be noted that this complaint is
Should have done a thought bubble, but other than that, it's a funny moment.
rather trivial when set adjacent to my second major issue with the summoning system.
Perfect
which is
timing.
that hostile players can be summoned into your game by these infernal hooded bell-ringing bimbos.
Should have infernal hooded belt. I should have timed it slightly more. Great execution still. Not too bad.
Now, this is the main aspect of the game about which I feel conflicted the most often.
If I just taken more time and tried to get that footage more precise, and I think it's because I got the footage and then I recorded the VO, and I should have probably recorded VO and then done footage. I don't know. I guess I did footage then VO and all the other ones too. But going into my next review, that might be something to look into, which I won't say what it is yet. I might at the end. So, for anyone who doesn't know, the stream, I'm going to cover the video of all 3 and maybe give some closing thoughts. And then I'm going to stop streaming but keep recording and then go, and the recording is going to go on Patreon. And it's going to be the stream plus, and the stream's going to go up on YouTube, but the recording is going to be the stream plus I'm going to actually go into the projects for each video and kind of break those down a little bit.
You see, on one hand,
Ugh.
I usually find a random encounter with an equally skilled hunter to be a rather pleasant challenge. A deadly dodging dance with clashing blades and parrying shots trying to anticipate your foe's next move. Oh, it's so good. It's a real adrenaline rush, and it's a really sweet experience. Especially when it has begun with an exchange of
I wish he
honorable
bowed
cordial
first.
bows. How
He
you
fucked
do,
up my
fair
bit.
sir?
What's your name? Adversary Meismer4201. You fucked up my bit.
Let's fight. However, when you're so close to the next campfire,
And other hunters bow to you too. Why didn't he? Asshole.
that you can almost feel its heat, and you see that dreadful message pop up on screen before getting your ass whooped by some ridiculously experienced Bloodborne player who's obviously toying
Yeah, what the
with you
fuck
for
was that? It was
scores
lag.
before finishing you off, which causes you to drop all of your blood echoes. It's so frustrating that just makes you wanna.
Hold on. I just gotta pause because hold on. I love that bit, but holy fuck. That was like 10 minutes of me just like grab, move by slightly here. Okay, next 2 frames. Grab, move slightly up. Grab, move slightly. And so it really is like every other frame is it's fucking jumping around. And I worry that might fuck with people's seizures. But it's a good effect though, and it's pretty good. It's pretty funny. All
Now, I
right.
should probably tell you about blood echoes. Well, to put it simply, when you
There's another moment where I just get into mechanics, and I probably could have cut it down and refined it if I took more time.
defeat an enemy or monster, you
was
are given
better.
these things called blood echoes, which serve as both experience points and Bloodborne's primary currency. Now, as a currency, they are used to purchase pretty much
As a
everything
currency?
that an adventuring hunter might need, including blood vials, aka
I think this is a moment where it happens, where I scroll down and you can hear the scroll down because you can still hear the game audio. But I did a freeze frame on different stuff. Let's see though.
every other game's health potion, quicksilver bullets, range/melee weapons, armor sets which boost defensive stats
Maybe not.
and change the player's aesthetic appearance, and much more, including Molotov cocktail?
Huh, guess not. Never mind. Nope, neither of those. Love the Molotov cocktail montage. Favorite part in the whole review. It's actually on Jackbox. No, that actually goes against my review principles. Well, okay. I won't say what the next review is, but I will say the next sort of review is going to be like what I think about episode 0, where it's going to be sort of my criteria for what games are even like eligible to be reviewed by me. So that will be probably the next video review type thing I release. And then after that will be my next review.
Using blood echoes as a currency is pretty cool conceptually. Their dual usage
Blah,
as
blah, blah,
experience points
mechanics,
raises my
boring
third and
shit.
final issue with Bloodborne, and that is leveling up.
Not bad.
Not the idea of leveling up or the use of blood echoes to level up. In fact, I feel that the game's utilization of blood echoes,
I like how it tinges red here.
And have to retrieve from where you drop them, all of which forever disappear if you don't retrieve them before dying again.
And I also really like how my voice speeds up. I think that moment would have been more effective if I'd been more slow and measured throughout the rest of the review, though, for sure.
To be quite a gripping system that adds a lot of weight and tension to monster encounters.
Also should have done like the psycho music or something. I didn't do enough music in this review.
No, rather the aspect
No. So stupid
of
sounding.
leveling up in Bloodborne that supremely irks me is the
Still
general
too
lack
quick.
of any noticeable stat boost with each level up.
Okay, interesting point. I have kind of a problem with that point, actually, which is that's only in the later level ups. In the early level ups, it's somewhat more significant, but there's a soft cap at 40, where a lot of your stats really diminish at that point. So, I don't know. Hold on, let me see what I was trying to level up
Weight
there.
and tension to monster encounters.
Mute real quick.
No, rather the aspect of leveling up in Bloodborne that
31 to
supremely irks me is the
32, I guess, so it's getting close to that soft cap. Yeah, I like the speed up there. Would be better if the rest was slower, though.
Aware that there are diminishing returns the more that you advance each particular
Oh,
stat,
okay, I
but
bring
in
it
a
up.
game about
All
being
right.
a badass beast-slaying hunter, you want to feel like your experiences are making you noticeably.
But if you're too strong, it diminishes the tension. I don't know. I don't know if I fully agree with this point of me from 3 years ago. Maybe my thoughts have changed. Maybe I have to revisit this review. No, maybe this will be episode 100.
Stronger. But when each stat boost gives such a small increase in strength, there were several times that I
This was weird to get this footage because my CPU was shit at the time, and so doing this speed up, like Adobe Premiere Pro was like really glitchy and laggy, so I couldn't even tell before exporting how that looked. It was weird, and also
felt I had to grind
no audio there, which I should have done like I should have done something more audio stuff. Really would have been good, and I think I worked on that a little more in the second one.
for blood echoes to gain levels to fight certain bosses. Now, in a game all about exploration and combat, you should never feel like you're forced to keep refighting the same enemies in a small area just for blood echoes. It is immersion breaking, and
That's fair. It could have they could have balanced that slightly more, I think. Also, I did something important there, which I said, it is immersion breaking, rather than just my, like, it's immersion breaking. It is immersion breaking. It's immersion breaking in a video to say it is immersion breaking. Most people conjugate it and is. And so I think, or I know that was an intentional choice to say it in a more, like, it is immersion, like, and that's something interesting I think I tried to do more in later reviews, too, which was sort of indict or pull the audience into my perspective from even how I said stuff, which I think is kind of cool.
it disrupted the game's
So good job,
natural
me.
flow. Now, enough complaining about Bloodborne.
This is just stock footage I found online, and the music is from Avatar, so please don't sue me, Nickelodeon.
It's my favorite time of the video, the section where I talk about the game's many aspects that I really love. First of all,
Also, there's no border on that, which is weird. Hold on. Like, the aspect ratio is totally different. Wait, hold up. Yeah, I didn't put a border around it. I guess because I got this other... And also, you can tell how old this is because this is the old border I used to use. And now, obviously, you can see the border around the border, which is the new border I use, which is much cleaner and nicer. I like it a lot more. Alrighty, Luminous, see ya.
story and lore.
Oh, hold on. Let's go back so I don't miss anything.
Complaining about Bloodborne. It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's the part where I talk about my stuff I love.
About the game's many aspects that I really
This is good.
love.
This part's good.
First of all, I really dug the game's setting and visual.
It's a good shot.
It's
really creepy.
Lovecraftian horror combined with the game's ethereal and
should have slowed down a little though.
Really lent themselves to a chilling and eerie feeling experience.
I really rushed through it, man. God, the pacing is garbage on this one. I don't know if I got better at that as I went on. I mean, I'm talking fast right now, but full of thoughts. But on something that's pre-recorded, at least, it should be better paced.
Recently, I've actually been checking out some of Bloodborne's lore, explained by a YouTuber named...
Man, I haven't watched this stuff in so long. It was only really briefly I even delved into it. Wonder if he's still making videos.
Fungo, and it's actually some really engaging and thought-provoking material. So if you're interested in learning
Bloodborne is
more
good
about
lore.
the game's story and lore, I'd recommend checking out some...
Actually, extension of the Dark Souls games in general, really good lore. Vati Vidya does some really good stuff on those. And he has this wonderful deep voice. He's got a great voice. Anyway, go check out Vati Vidya.
his videos. And while you're there, let him know that James sent you.
Nice, me.
Another aspect of Bloodborne that I really enjoy is its music. Every area has its own subtle themes.
That's a lie. Every area does not have its own subtle themes. Most of the areas are quiet as far as music goes, with exception to boss fights, occasional hunter fights, and the hunter's dream. Which are obviously, for the most part, non-diegetic, except maybe there's a music box somewhere in Murgo's Wet Nurse. I don't know. That's kind of debatable. But, anywho, that point is wrong. Should have fixed that. That's my bad, guys.
And every boss has his or her own unique scores.
His or her, or their. You know, non-binaries. Interesting, that's become such more of a thing since even 2017. I feel like it definitely wasn't as, like, critical as it is now to, like, state things in a very specific way.
And let me tell you, every single one is memorable. From the terrifying cacophony of sound during the cleric beast fight...
Is that actually the cleric beast music? I don't remember. It might be, though. Anyway. Really
quiet
good cuts here.
And haunting musical box melody that can be heard during the duel with Murgo's Wet Nurse. And finally,
And this was, okay, this was something I thought was weird.
in the
Not
sad
weird, but
violin-based theme of the game's...
Great track, by the way. I love all the music in this game. But this final bit, it's weird because so what I do is I do a fade here, but then I sort of remove the fades slowly bit by bit, so you can kind of see more that's happening, but I really should have just had a less of a fade to begin with. And I should have just kind of like lowered the gameplay audio, turned off the music, and just had the other music play within the game. I don't know. In fact, maybe I actually did that. I think I actually did turn the music down and just played my own like track.
I'd rate Bloodborne a solid 95 out of 100.
Absolutely Gaming God, the sequel. James reviewing the reviewing of the reviews. 100%.
Overall, I really enjoyed it and felt that
what did I rate the game? What was it, 97?
the choice that you make I find to be a great mechanic. So that's that, I suppose. Comprehensively, I
should have cut to live action there. I don't know why.
rate Bloodborne a solid 95 out of 100.
Oh! Shit, I didn't have a live action outro or intro. Wow, I forgot about that. In this first review, I didn't do a live action at all. Weird. I didn't even have my face cam at the time. Wow, sorry, that's just so strange of me to think about.
I really enjoyed it and felt that
also, the video glitching is just the software. Just ignore that. It's not the video itself.
An incredible experience that I would certainly love to play again, and unquestionably recommend to anyone looking for a uniquely challenging yet satisfying game with a beautiful, if a bit gory at times, aesthetic, and one which contains an immense
why do I faded it even less there? I should have found a good fade and just stuck with it.
In this Bloodborne review, please.
And really, I should have done the edges normally and just faded the gameplay. It's just such a fucking... The problem was, I think, is I recorded the gameplay with the edges. Which what I would have then, or should have then done, is faded it and added new edges around the outside, but I don't know. Once again, time, man. This shit takes time.
Don't hesitate to let me know in the comments below. You can also feel free to like the video and subscribe to this channel for more video game goodness.
Which, actually, that brings up a point, which is, next time I record, I should probably record the footage separately. Like, without the borders. But, that'd be a pain in the ass to have to put it in, like, 97% with every piece of footage. And then I have to, like, double and triple check it. Maybe not worth it. I don't know.
Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, I hope that you have a great day.
Yeah. And then I fade out. And then this is the Halloween, not Halloween like the movie, but Halloween like Halloween track. Basically how I record videos is in the credits I'll have like, I don't know, I think I have 8 different like 20-second, like 8 different like 20-second music clips that I've adapted from other music and modified so they're not copyright protected. But this was like Halloween #1 or something, and this is actually an alteration on the beginning of Evelyn Evelyn, I think, from the album Evelyn Evelyn by Evelyn Evelyn. Yeah, it's good though. And then I piped in other sound effects and stuff. When we get to Halloween this year, actually, there might be some tracks you've never heard before. Also, no borders yet. This is definitely the older version, and there weren't any Patreon patrons or... Man, so different. And I did these kind of different, and I hadn't faded these yet. Oh, man. It's going to be interesting to see that develop. But anyway. Alright, so that is my first review. Overall, I feel like I did a pretty good job kind of covering the main points of what I thought. Obviously, it's really flawed. This is kind of a really cool experience, actually, going back to look at this now that I'm somewhat removed from it, especially that one, which was like 3 years ago now. But yeah, so that's super cool though. Not bad overall. Better than I thought. Better than I, thought it might be. Hold on this next one. I gotta immediately pause. All right. But yeah, so we're moving on now to my Chibi Robo review, which this one's a little rough, but we'll get into why later on. Yeah, anyway, let's do this. Okay, now the first thing I want to say before we even get started is I fucked up when originally exporting this video. I made it, so you can have different, like, export profiles on Adobe Premiere Pro, and so I actually used one with a lower bit rate, and so the footage looks kind of crappy, all of it. or worse than it would like otherwise. And if I could go back and change one thing, it would be that. In fact, I've actually contemplated, and now that I've actually brought it up to the public for the first time, I actually might do is go back in this and re-export it. Because I actually have all the footage for this one. While I'm missing a clip for the Bloodborne one, I actually have all the footage, I think, and audio for this one. So what I think I'll do is I'll re-export it at the proper like resolution and bitrate, and re-upload it as like a remaster or something of the original. But yeah, definitely a problem. But let's get into it. Here you go, the nice Jeopardy music. And I actually like did a cool thing here with the timing. Although I should have done cut, cut, cut. I did like a I tweened it. See, the problem is when you crop it, the way animation in Adobe works with text is it tweens the points, so it doesn't here right to here. It's here and then here. And the way I could have fixed that, now I'm thinking about it, is I probably did that, and then I did that, and then 10 frames, and then there, I think is what I did. And what I could have done is there, and then 1 frame below, so it doesn't have time to, like, scroll like that. It has, like, a scroll effect, because it's, like, multiple frames. And if I'd done 1 frame, it'd be like, boom! Boom! And the points would have popped better, and I think that would have been nice. Dude. 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 Super cheeky here. This video contains narrative spoilers, and I should have done audio on this. Narrative spoilers for Chibi Robo and trace elements of profanity. If either of these things bother you, then you don't have to watch this. Really, you don't. No one's forcing you. Last chance. Okay, let's do this. I like that I give my audience plenty of outs there. It's funny. Oh! First off, my shelves over there where I recorded this. I had to zoom in too much, and it's right on my face, and my facial hair is weird, and my hair is weird, and I use a different camera, and it's weird, and I really should have tidied this back. This is the live action, this is a mess, and it's not properly synced up, because I dubbed over it later, and obviously, at least it has live action, and it was kind of an experiment in that regard, which I think I really, not perfected, but refined a lot better in the next one. But also, like, the color timing is weird and off, and I really fixed that in the one after, and ugh.
I'd like to discuss the forgotten
It doesn't match at all. It's so awful. I love it.
GameCube
It makes
classic
me laugh
Chibi
because of how
Robo.
shitty it is.
Reasons why it's still a game worth playing today.
And it probably would have looked nicer, at least, if I upped the bitrate properly, but
And
god.
yes, the exclamation
Weird video cuts, too. There's no point even pausing on this. Let's just bear through it. I did a fade. Oh, what's wrong with me?
I digress.
My hair was crazy.
See, my name's James and I play video
And I didn't fix this, by the way. I just made it a video and ported it over. So this is exactly the fucking same. It's so bad. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus. Although, at least I have the good borders now. The ones I use now, which is nice.
Chibi Robo.
And instead of just the black text, or the black background with the text, I did, like, the thumbnail tag, which... Don't know why I did that. I should have just done that, because it's more low res, but I think it's funnier. I don't know. I don't know what I did with Crypto the Necrodancer, but we'll see, I guess.
Chibi Robo was initially conceived as a point-and-click
Hold on. Why does the music immediately cut in there?
Chibi Robo.
Chibi Robo
Should have
was
faded that
initially
music a
conceived
little
as
more.
a point-and-click adventure game in 2003
Welcome back,
by
Luminous.
Skip Limited.
We're now on to my
However,
second review.
Dissatisfied with the direction the game was heading, Skip put the project on
Weird
hold
cuts.
indefinitely, and there it
Fun little
lies,
Twilight Zone reference here, though.
in the limbo between
Yeah,
existence
Chibi Robo's the
and
second one.
non-existence. Had not one Shigeru Miyamoto taken a shine to the little robot and helped to guide the game. Now, for those of
I think
you
that side thing is different now. The side panel over here, I think, is on this side? I don't remember. I could be wrong about that. I don't want to pull that scene up right now and mess up this review, but anyway. Although I do like the little pictures I used, the stills I pulled of Shigeru Miyamoto.
He's
Pretty
the man
fun.
responsible for the creation of
And the music is the
legendary
Super Mario
series as the
Sunshine
Super Mario
music.
Bros. And The Legend of Zelda, as well as several other early
And then my little disclaimer, Miyamoto has continued in some way, or has contributed in some way to the production of these franchises. which is technically true.
Video game franchises, which are still immensely beloved and
Well, I should have just done Metroid instead of Metroid Prime.
Except for that one.
I don't know why I did Metroid Prime there.
Did make a Donkey Kong 2 near. I'm sorry.
Which is a reference to sequel to Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. I don't know, it's a fun thing. Sad Violin, lovingly played. 1982 to 1984-ish. Yeah, Donkey Kong Jr. really got shafted as far as characters go. I think he was in Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, but he hasn't been, like, in a single other game since then. So what's up with that? Like, I feel like he's been completely replaced by Diddy Kong. I don't know, it's just weird, man. Anyway.
Anyhow, my point here is that I believe that
the timing on these is a little off, but it's
was,
fine.
At least partially, due to the strength of Miyamoto's creative vision that lets Chibi Robo stand with
And then I cut to the game.
the
Nice.
rest of its GameCube peers.
Maybe could have done that a little more
Just like how
organically, but
Chibi
still.
Robo
Should have done like a page flip or something.
came to be, I'd say that it's about damn time I told y'all what Chibi Robo is. What do you do in Chibi Robo? Well, it's honestly pretty
Simple. The VO is a lot cleaner in this. I don't know. I don't think I had my new mic yet, but no, I don't believe so. Because this was what, beginning of 2019? When did this one come out? This might have actually been 2018. Hold on. Hold on just a sec, chat. Change it to details. Let's see here. This was like mid to late 2019, huh? Alright, I guess that shows how fast I did the Crypt of the Necrodancer review then. Shit. I did that like right after this.
Play as a 3-inch tall household cleaning robot named Chibi Robo. Newly purchased
It's
by
just the opening
Sanderson
cutscene of the
family,
game.
whose sole purpose in,
Alright, I'm gonna point out something here that's weird that a lot of games do, but they need to stop. Those coins in the background are part of the game, and this door in the background is part of the game. They're obviously I don't know, like they exist, I guess, in the world of the family, but they exist within the gameplay, so they shouldn't exist in a cutscene. I don't know, it's not as much of a problem in this game because it's more cartoony and you can kind of be like, whatever. But there's definitely games where, like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but like where something will appear in a cutscene that's a part of the game that looks really out of place. Games need to fix that. Also, what font was that?
Along the way, you befriend the Sandersons' socially unacclimated daughter, Jenny, save the Sandersons' failing marriage, help a freakish toy find love, travel through time to get the parts to put back together, a decrepit
This is good.
larger
This is a much
cleaning
better
robot
cut
named
together
Robo,
sequence
pick up a
than any
pirate
in
flash ship, resuscitate
Bloodborne.
a dehydrated frog and her boyfriend, give a dog a bone, destroy a bunch of robot spiders that try to take over the house, and cure wish-granting micro-aliens.
Much better voice
As it
speed
turns
ascension
out,
too.
we're responsible for granting the family's toys life in the first
Oh,
place.
I still have such a
And
problem with
you,
that.
upon your rescuing them, grant humanity an eternal power source that makes it so that our machines never need
This game's
charging
plot's
again.
fucking
So yeah,
bullshit.
Simple plot stuff. Simple plot. No. You know what? I'm done. I don't need another convoluted ass.
I don't know why I
narrative like this.
pulled away from the mic so hard there.
James, out.
I should have been on it until James out and then pulled away. Little weird. I don't know. It's fine. It's not that bad. Stock sound effects. The best. I didn't feel like doing any Foley, I guess.
So the story itself
Nice.
is pretty convoluted.
Yeah, and I just wrote out, what does it say? The simple plot of Chibi Robo. I really should have typed this out. I guess I did this in probably like 10 minutes between recording. Sanderson's by Chibi Robo, but before that, Mr. Sanderson quits something. Did I fucking scribble? Did I make a mistake and scribble it out? I don't know. Still, it's like, you can tell from this that the plot is bullshit and all over the place.
And honestly, it's the one aspect of the
So I guess it
game that
conveys what I wanted
really
to well
have
enough.
much of an opinion
Definitely
about.
should have typed it out though,
Sure,
been
it's
more
got some
professional.
charming moments,
It's kind of funny how low tech it is.
and if you're like 9, it
Could have written neater though.
might even
I don't know why I'm getting really hung up on this point. Let's just keep going.
bring the occasional tear to your eye. Am I a cynical prick?
And I did a weird audio fade there from one to the other. It's like I did like a pan over. Anyway, that effect didn't really work. And the "Am I a cynical prick" bit is kind of like, I don't know. That whole bit's a little rough.
I don't know. The story's just okay. Let's move on. Now, I previously
It sounds so sad. I don't know. The story's just okay. Let's move on.
mentioned that you're a little
Oof.
robot that cleans
Hang
up
in there,
trash,
James.
and what's that you say, Internet Gen Zers? That sounds boring as fuck. Well,
Should have faded the audio there more. I don't know.
it's not. It's
More micro
actually
complaints
really
on this
fun and
one.
relaxing. You see, the game offsets the repetition
Excuse
of
me.
house cleaning in several ways. First off, it
Cleaner
provides
audio
the
for
player
sure.
with several different types of things to clean, like smudges that you have to scrub with a little toothbrush, wall stains that you spray off with a child's fake doctor syringe.
That took me a
and
couple of
flowers
attempts.
that you can plant with a weird old spoon shovel.
Widow spoon shovel. Yeah. Could have said that better. I think I did like 3 or 4 takes on widow spoon shovel. I don't even know what I was going for comedically there. It's kind of a mess.
Along with the regular trash picking up, of course. Also, this game keeps up a pretty steady progression pace, with Robo receiving moolah and happy points frequently.
Needed better
Now,
audio cut
moolah
there.
is a currency that the player can use to purchase upgrades for Chibi Robo, such as an arm blaster and other handy attachments, and also flower seeds that you can plant. Now, happy points, on the other hand...
Mostly I'm
represent-
noticing I just need better like audio transitions. Like I don't know if I did any like constant power crossfading with the audio or anything, but could have been a lot cleaner for
Game's
sure.
love and appreciation for Chibi's actions, and contribute towards leveling up your Chibi rank. Your rank
Oh.
starts at 1,000,000, and the closer to rank 1 you get, the more bonus batteries you receive.
Okay, what do
Now,
I have
this
to say
system
about
is
it?
Slightly complex, so allow me to
It's not that
clarify.
fucking. It's not complex. What?
Much like most household gadgets, Chibi Robo runs on
I need to leave a larger beat there. Most household gadgets: dirty coffee pot, dirty vacuum, nuclear power plant.
batteries that he recharges in wall
Depends on
outlets.
batteries.
But his battery's charge capacity is very limited at the start of
Oh,
the
I'm
game,
getting
so
hungry.
you can't
Should have
go
eaten
very
more
far
before I
with one
started this.
charge until the aliens do that thing in the end.
I got really on the
We're
mic.
gonna talk
Holy
about that.
shit.
However, as your Chibi Robo ranking goes up, you get a bigger charge and can make longer excursions on each outing.
Yeah.
You see, while picking up trash was pretty fun, one of the real joys for me was exploring the house and finding its secrets. Like these frogalicious rain pops to
Good
give
cut.
to Jenny.
That's
But
a nice one.
seriously, the house in this game really is its own little world, with all kinds of characters
Her
trying to
fucking sad
accomplish their own
face.
unique objectives, such as the little eggs turned army men who want you to train up and help free their fellow soldier from Tao, the dog.
I actually had to do a lot of side quests to really get all the footage I wanted. Which I don't even think I did when I did a playthrough of it. Like the series that's coming out right now, I don't even think I did all that shit during that, honestly. And I didn't even 100% this game. I just like got mostly what I needed, but still, it took a little while.
Or Jenny's teddy bears.
I did also realize though you don't have to do anywhere near as much cleaning as I was doing. Like the actual plot, if you're just going beat to beat, it's pretty fast. But yeah.
Sunshine, that'll straight up murder a bitch for some nectar.
Good.
One neat feature in this game is
Should have been another beat there. I think, man, I tried to like keep up the pace, but I could have had slightly longer beats. Let me see though.
to train
Murder a
up
bitch
and
for
help
some
free their
nectar.
fellow soldier from Tao,
Definitely
the
much
dog.
better at finding
Or
relevant
Jenny's teddy bear,
footage though.
Sunshine, that'll straight up murder a bitch for some nectar. One neat
Boom. Shoulda. I needed another slight pause. Yeah, I don't know. Mostly just like audio transitions and beats on this one are a problem.
cycle, which the player can set to every 5, 10, or 15 minutes.
Hmm?
During the day, the family members are up and about the house, relaxing, cleaning, cook.
All right. To be fair, Mom doesn't do many different things. I thought she did more than she does.
Crying, or just
I think she's sleeping there, not crying, but I pulled it off okay.
plain old relaxing. But come night, all of the toys
And this bothered me too because this at nighttime this room is fucking fully lit. Like there's no like darkness or ambiance or whatever. So it's really hard to tell that it's nighttime. I don't know. I should just darken the footage or something. Like the bloom is really bright, but the problem is I think I recorded it with this side thing too. But I don't know, sloppy.
come alive and have some fun of their
Just looks
own,
bad,
just like
you know.
Toy Story.
I don't care for Toy Story 4. It doesn't need to exist. Get it out of here.
Now, apart
That
from
was a good
bringing
beat.
the
All right,
toys to
nice.
life,
All right, hold on. I need to go back. This is important. I had my sister make 2 things for me. 2 little animation-y things. Hold on. Boo, boo, boo. Let's
Now, apart from just bringing the
that. Yeah. So I had her make me this thing, which she made. She's not the best graphical design artist, but I really appreciate that she made it. But yeah, I was actually thinking of making this like a poster on the merch shop. Would anyone buy a poster of toys, Chibi Robo Toys to Life? I don't know. She did add shades on them all too, which is cool. Anyway.
To life, the day-night cycle is
Maybe a sticker?
supposed to
I don't
serve
know.
the function of making
Something
the
I
player
thought of.
feel the urgency of completing whatever quest or cleaning
This is a good
task
point
they're working on
that I make right
before
here.
that happens.
So the day to night transition works well for like you want to complete what you're doing before it transitions, so you don't have to travel back out. Yeah, this one is more comedic. I agree, Luminous. I think too, I tried to match the tone of the game with the tone of the review a little more. Where the first one's a little darker, the review's a little more blah, but this one I definitely went a little more lighthearted, which is nice. And then I think I found the perfect balance with Crypto the Necrodancer, but we'll see when we get to that. But I have a big problem with this day to night thing.
Just one problem, though.
Yeah, here we go.
Unlike a game such as Dead Rising,
I bought Dead Rising in an Xbox 360 just to get this footage, so in direct contrast to the Bloodborne review where there was a piece of footage I didn't have, so I stole it from someone else. The Dead Rising, I went to extremes to get all this footage.
has a limited number of days to save as many people as they can.
Although I only recorded like the first like 20 minutes of the game, to be fair.
Chibi Robo has no time limit. This means that any pressure
I
or
really love this. At the beginning, where just fucking
caused by
everyone
it
dies.
night
Day to night, that was the other thing she made. Probably not for you, but you think it's a good idea. Yeah. This one's a little more simple, but I like it too.
transition is completely manufactured and fake. So
Yeah, so that's something that's important to bring up. So that's a good comparison there between like how in Dead Rising, you know, you have a time limit, so every action is important. You really need to pace it yourself well. In Chibi Robo, though, the manufactured tension from the day to night transition is kind of bullshit because there's no overarching time limit. Like you can really take as long as you need, you know. So really, it doesn't matter at all. Like I don't know. It is a problem.
essentially,
But also, it matches the tone of the game. It's lighthearted. It's chill. You don't want to be stressed out. So maybe it is kind of a fine balance between those two. But it's definitely something I could have explored maybe a little more. Or put more sort of critical thought into.
without even the pressures of a ticking clock element,
Yeah.
the game presents no major challenges or obstacles to overcome.
Which is an interesting point. Since these are sort of opinion reviews, out of guilt, yeah. Since these are opinion reviews, though, I think I definitely, I bought it out of guilt, you're right. But I definitely think I should have gone more into kind of what I personally think about that. I think I tried to present everything as objectively as I could, which is fine. You know, it's good for a review. But I think I should have gone more into, like, what are my thoughts on that? And I guess I did. I guess I presented it as a bad thing, but...
I said major challenges.
Oh,
Get wrecked. Now I
fucking get wrecked. Wow, are we in the fucking 6th grade playground? Holy shit. Ooh, that's a nice reflection, by the way. Like, the floor is so polished and clean, it really reflects the wall texture. Just nice details, man. Nintendo, I don't think they developed this game. It was Skip. They published it, but good little polish, you know?
could see this lack of difficulty being a turnoff for hardcore gamers. But
The fuck
as
font
a guy
is that?
Who beat and thoroughly enjoyed Bloodborne, watch my Bloodborne review.
Alright, that's something I did and plan to continue to do, which is in every review I want to reference the previous review. I think I do that in the third one too. I don't want to shoehorn it in though, so if it doesn't fit, I won't, but like, if I could keep doing that in every review, like trying to link people back to my last review somehow, it's funny, man.
I can
It's good
attest to
stuff.
there being something pretty ding-dang satisfying in playing a game as chill as Chibi Robo.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm going to backtrack on what I said earlier. I think I do make it kind of valid in regards to my take on this, where it's like, yeah. And I think that was actually, I was thinking of an earlier script version. That's a good revision where Chibi Robo is this kind of like, it's just like a chill game, and it has that tone, it has that atmosphere. And it is actually a good balance where the day to night causes a little bit of tension, but it doesn't really have an overarching thing. So I'm going to actually take back what I said earlier and say that's pretty good. It's not bad. The game accomplishes what it wants to accomplish in that regard, which I think is good.
There's just something so simple and peaceful about playing it that's honestly kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
Speaking of simplicity, Chibi Robo's controls are super simple to master, which makes them a lot more welcoming to players of any skill level who just want to play a fun game. My only complaint when it comes to this game's controls is the camera, which...
Could have had a better word than complaint there. My only complaint, I feel like that's a little... I don't know if that's too harsh. I tend to avoid flowery language. I try to be direct and to the point, except in Bloodborne I did a little fancy talk here and there. But, like, I don't know. I try to just say the words that need to be said in these reviews. Complaint doesn't sound
While
right to me
nowhere
right
near
now.
as problematic as something like, oh, I don't know, a Sonic the Hedgehog game, it does occasionally have problems adjusting to tight spaces, which can be a little frustrating at times. Like I said, though, it's not a major issue, and honestly, it's even a bit better than, like, Super Mario Sunshine's camera.
Alright, this might be the only compromise I've made in a review, which is, I owned Super Mario Sunshine, but at the time I didn't have it. And still don't, because I let a friend borrow it who never gave it back. So here's, I'm not going to name names, but you fucking know who you are. Give me back Super Mario Sunshine. You're not watching this. You'll never watch this, but it's fine. Yeah, but I need to get another copy. I still have the game case. I just don't have the game. Yeah, I feel bad about that. That's like the only game I have the case for, but not the game. Yeah, I need to get a new disc of that. Fortunately, at least the memory is saved on the what do we call them? Not flash drives, but the fuck are they? Hard drive? No. Memory card? Data's saved on the memory card at least, which is good. But yeah, that's why there's no Super Mario Sunshine footage here, because no longer had the game. And I think there is Super Mario Sunshine footage later, which I think I pulled from online.
For instance, which only
Maybe.
came out a few years
Actually,
earlier.
maybe I pulled it from an older Super Mario Sunshine
The same
playthrough.
platform. Also,
I don't
one
remember.
neat gameplay feature that
I don't
I was
know.
surprised to see in this game was the ability to create shortcuts organically
Yeah.
out of various parts of the environment, such as a bird cage rope or coffee machine cable. This type of natural checkpoint would be popularized in 2009 in From Software's game Demon's Souls. But it's kind of funny to see this mechanic appear in a little unknown game from 3 years earlier.
Oh, page flip. Alright, that point's a little bad. I make it sound like Chibi Robo invented the idea of creating a checkpoint, or like a naturalized checkpoint within the world. And I feel like that's more of just like a Metroidvania kind of trope. Like, I think that's more of a Metroid thing of kind of making organic places to go back. And so if I could go back in this review, I probably would have either removed that point or refined it. Hold on. I actually want to go back, though, and see.
Surprised to see in this game. Honestly, it's even a bit better than, like, Super Mario Sunshine's camera, for instance,
Okay.
which only came
Hold
out
on.
a few years earlier on the same platform. Also, one neat...
Hold on. Let me...
This type of earlier. By now...
Yeah, I think I was trying to show, like, my gamer cred, like, I know this thing about this thing. But really, that whole point there could have just been cut out, and you really would have lost nothing. I could have just said, like, that's neat, without making the Dark Souls comparison, I think. I think the Dark Souls comparison's unnecessary, or Demon Souls, or whatever it was. Yeah, I don't know. That was a point I always had a problem with. I think even while making it, I was like, this is weird. And I even, like, looked up the dates of when, like, Demon Souls came out and stuff to try to get a good reference, but I don't know. Once again, I feel like I've learned a lot about games in these last couple of years, and could really have defined or refined these had I known what I knew or know now. But I guess it takes having to, like, fuck up a couple times before you really get in the groove, you know, and know what you're making.
If you have been watching this video with your human eyes, you may have noticed that there are visuals on the screen. I will now discuss said visuals.
I don't know why I wrote it like that or said it like that, but it makes me laugh. I don't know. It's just funny shit.
Chibi Robo visually represents
I think I had no clever way of saying it, so I was like, I'll just say it how words happen. And if you are looking at this with your human eyes.
the quintessential night.
Yeah, I actually did research. Some of the only external research I did was on, like, 1960s household aesthetics. Because I don't know, I needed to for this game. And here we go. I found some good pictures.
1960s American Dream household aesthetic, complete with a small backyard featuring a solitary tree swing.
I don't know, what do
surrounded
I
by a
say about this
pristine
point?
White fence. Now that's dandy and all, but the most interesting.
Dandy and all. Why do I say that? I say that weird and I don't like it. Hold on. I'm curious what I actually say about this. Okay, I'm just discussing the visuals.
Chibi Robo visually represents the quintessential 1960s American
Okay, what do you think
dream
about it, though?
household aesthetic, complete with a small backyard featuring a solitary tree swing surrounded by a pristine white fence. Now,
To be fair, I don't necessarily feel like it should be like, here's this thing, here's what I think about it. I feel like a lot of reviewers are inclined to do that because it's very easy to structure it as, like, what is it, inductive versus deductive reasoning? Thanks, Hunter. Yeah, this is a neat time. I'm glad I'm doing this too, man. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I think it is definitely a little too easy to do. What is it? Deductive, where you say your point and then you say what you think, or like provide evidence. And it's also too easy to do all inductive. And so I have consciously tried to mix up inductive and deductive reasoning when I structure my script for these reviews. But definitely
But the most interesting
there are
bit of
some
visual flair
points
that
where
Chibi
I
Robo
needed to
draws from
insert a
the
little
60s
more
aesthetic
opinion.
is its use of bright, vivid colors and intricate
Okay.
patterns. Now, in a more
I say it like it's a good thing.
traditional game, such small details are insignificant
I like this comparison. Also, on my 360, I recorded this footage too, which is cool.
and only serve to augment the bigger
This is Nuketown, by the way, like the most popular fucking Call of Duty map ever.
picture. But in Chibi Robo, you're playing as a 3-inch robot, so every detail in a room becomes a significant part of the terrain that you're
This is a really good point. What do I think about it?
A mountain to scale. A toy castle is a formidable bastion to
Hmm.
conquer, and a drain pipe becomes an
Maybe, I guess this is just something I haven't really consciously thought of, but I think the way I write, I think I insert my opinion, I insert it more implicitly rather than explicitly. Where rather than like, here's this thing, here's what I think about it, I think more I use and I would actually say this is a good thing, my tone and my inflection and the fact that I'm getting into the details at all as a way of sort of delineating. I really like this, you know?
series of tunnels to explore. This
But
house
it is possible, though, that doesn't necessarily stand out as much to people.
is
I
your
don't know.
world to explore, and it's easy to see that the developers put a lot of care into its every
Yeah.
facet.
Okay.
From the numerous intricate patterns.
I definitely
on the
seem to be presenting it as a really good
carpets to
thing.
the cleanable sea of bird turds strewn across the backyard overhang. The level of creativity that the developers put into this game's environmental details really makes it feel
Could have sped up my speaking there slightly. I really am dragging it out maybe slightly too much. I don't know.
even more alive. Now, I've discussed
I needed a transition sound like a whoop or something. I have those now. I have like 3 main transition sounds you'll hear me use a lot. They're 3 whoosh sounds, and I love them.
ad nauseum Chibi Robo's
Ad nauseum, such a good word.
gameplay and aesthetics, but one facet
I definitely could have gone a little more maybe into aesthetics.
of the game that is critically important is its sound
Particularly
direction.
important.
Of
God, I
course,
sound like a
Chibi Robo
douchebag.
boasts a lovely little sound
And there's a cool cut there where I make the sound audio for this,
different
or the audio
theme
louder.
themes and such, which contribute to its charming atmosphere, but it's the game's sound effects themselves that are the true star. Here, I'm gonna stop talking now because I just want you to take in the game's sound for the next, 10 seconds or so.
Okay, I do another thing here, like the first one. I will say this one is also too short.
Now, I've often found that
It's way too short. You don't get a good gist. I needed to, like, cut between multiple locations. What I tried to do was get a bunch of different sort of sounds in one location, which is good. But I definitely needed to cut to multiple. I could have used 1 or 2 different locations, different sets of sounds. Like I could have done one maybe on the roof with like cleaning up the bird turds and climbing across the thing, and another one maybe like, I don't know, pulling out drawers, getting up on the little ledge and going in the door or something, or climbing up or down. There are definitely, I think I actually do climbing up in a minute, but there are definitely a couple other sounds I should have gotten there. But yeah, I think a lot of my problem was I was trying to consciously, the critiques I'd gotten on the first one was it's really long. But I think the problem is when you try, it's really tough when making creative stuff because people have their own opinions and they'll critique it from their own individual standpoint. And a lot of people, you know, don't have a ton of time. But I think in a review, it's important to be as comprehensive as possible. And so I think on the next review or reviews I do, I'm just going to ignore if there are critiques on, like, length. Unless they have a specific, like, point on an area or, like, cogency on this or that. But overall length, I definitely think I could make longer on these reviews because it's so important to go so in-depth. And I don't think that should be rushed or slowed down. It should be as long as it needs to be. So definitely sticking to my length on these ones and just being okay with them being longer is something you'll probably see more in upcoming reviews.
it's the little details that really make a work of art, and while I'm not so sure that I'd
What am I quoting there? Hold on.
Now, I've often found that it's the little
Okay, it's my own
details that
opinion.
really
Nice.
make a work of art, and while I'm not so
Really make a work of art. Should have said, like, really make a work of art special or something.
sure that I'd call
I get the
Chibi
point,
Robo
but still.
art, in the traditional sense anyway,
Well
I
said.
would still hold that it benefits greatly from its attention to small details.
Mhm.
One detail that I particularly enjoy is the fact that every different surface Chibi walks on produces a different sound. Such close attention
Before saying such close attention, should have been a pause there. Had maybe I should have been in a room that had a couple different surfaces. That's a small thing, but it's still a thing that can be improved, so I think I should bring it up. So once again, just allowing myself to slow down the video pacing to sort of show the points more, I think, is something that's worth working on. And I'm curious to see how I did, because if I remember, Crypt of the Necrodancer is pretty breakneck. It's point to point to point. I don't think with too much slow down. Although there's maybe one silent one in that game as well.
to fine details helps me as a player to suspend my disbelief in the stretched reality of the world that Skip created.
Excellent
And
fucking point.
ultimately be fine with the idea of a 3-inch Roomba making instrumental sounds when he walks, cleans, or does just about anything.
Could have animated that a little cleaner, but whatever.
The sound work helps to
Still
prevent
fun.
house cleaning from becoming
3-inch
repetitive
Roomba.
by giving fun sounds to picking up trash and throwing it away, scrubbing stains, and flying. Also, I
Could have slowed that down slightly. I feel like the throwing away trash, you didn't really hear the full sound, although you hear it before, but still, and you don't really hear much flying. Definitely could have slowed those down a teeny bit, just let it breathe a
really
little
love
bit.
that little plinky sound that Chibi Robo makes when it climbs up wires and stuff. It's great.
I fucking love that. It's such a good beat.
Now there was one
Audio could have been a teeny bit better on that transition, but overall, I love that segment.
final aspect of the game's sound design that I wanted to mention, which is greatly
Greatly
superior to other games from
superior.
its time, such as Super Mario Sunshine.
Sounds so
and
goofy.
GameCube Ocarina of Time remake, which is the sound that Robo makes when he's
I think I recorded less takes for this one. Next time I do these, I definitely want to record maybe like 5 takes and really just hone in on trying to say things exactly how I want to say them, and just listen to it over and over and over. So it might actually take longer for the next review to like be done, just because I really want to work on refining the process, you know, and saying things exactly with the right tone and inflection, how I want them to be heard. I think that'll be really important going forward.
close to running out of energy. It's so
But I don't want to make it boring to where I lose my personality. I just want to, you know, make it a little cleaner, I think.
much less irritating than this.
And yeah, okay, I might have ganked this footage from someone else. Okay. This footage is actually from an old live stream I did with my boy Shepherd of Snow. I actually don't even know if it's on the channel anymore. Oh, and I like too. Hold on, little bit here. I put the logo to the game for every game I use. I just think that's a nice little detail I did. In case someone doesn't know, that way I don't need to say this from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time or this from that. Like I can just, oh, this is the game this footage is from. I don't know. I just think that's a really like elegant solution. It means I have to say less, which is cool. Anything I can show visually that I don't have to say is always like a really good way to maintain like speed and pacing, you know. And might actually be something worth trying in terms of like this game developed by this person instead of, although no, I kind of like saying that part actually. So anyway, it's just cool though. And I actually increased the audio of this as it goes, and I fucking hate the Zelda injured sound.
Making me have to hear this sound and panic.
Yeah, and the audio goes up here. I don't know why I cut to black there. I should have just lowered the audio and then continued to raise it. The fucking sword slash into Link broke it, dude. He broke it with his sword. I fucking love it.
Well.
Oh shit. Fucking shitty VO audio. Oh, they think it's slightly better on the end than it is at the beginning. But not a whole lot. And this is definitely something where the Crypt of the Necrodancer review shines, because this is garbage, and it makes me laugh. And also the audio is a little weird. Like, I'm pretty quiet, and I think the music's pretty loud, but we'll see.
Guess that I've discussed about everything that I wanted to discuss.
Slightly better in the beginning, though.
Ultimately, Chibi Robo is a really
Can you tell I'm reading the script, by the way?
fun game with charming characters.
Actually, I feel like, okay, I actually want to compliment myself. It looks like I'm reading the script less in this than it does in the Crypt of the Necrodancer review. And that's because on that one, I just didn't, I got lazy. I got lazy when recording the live action shit. And you can also see on the right here, my little, like, light switch and the left wall. Did I not zoom in or crop this one properly? I don't know. It's a fucking mess. I hate it. This needs to be all refined. I don't know. I think I could probably do it better now. If I had a second bookshelf next to this one or a wider one, I don't know. I can definitely do this better, though. But yeah, I do a better job on this one. In the Crypt of the Necrodancer review, I'll bring it up, but it's blatantly obvious a couple times.
Character interactions, a delightful house to
Look at my eyes. It's almost like a movie trick. The light from up there is shining in my eyes, and you get this cool, like, dot of light. It's a neat trick. Directors use it to show, like, humanity. They do it in The Thing, actually, where every character who's not the Thing has the little spot of light in their eyes, but the Thing doesn't. It's dark, so it's kind of just a little visual trick. And it wasn't intended, but I think it's an unintended cool moment. But the light is, I don't know, the lighting is really bad on this. And I actually did a second pass on the Crypt review, which I'll talk about later, or after, where I recolor, like, corrected it, and it looks really nice. Or better, anyway. Also, once again, ignore the visual glitches. That's just when I pause and play the video, it fucks up. 93 out of 100 is fair. Did I do Bloodborne 97? Maybe slightly too good. This one's... Oh. But these are both kind of middle. I've seen parts of it, and I know a lot about The Thing. But I haven't watched the full film start to end. I'd be interested in it, though. I love John Carpenter. He makes great stuff, so... Welcome back, Gaming God. And okay, another weird discrepancy is this is the only video I have where I wear that Hawaiian shirt. And I have like 3 different colored Hawaiian shirts, and I think I just felt like making it more fun. I don't know. I'm gonna do a quick update at some point where it looks like I'm on the beach and I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt, but I haven't got around to it. I was probably gonna do it for summer, but then this summer ended up being a fucking trash fire. I should have been wearing just the regular nice collared shirt and bow tie. I don't know why I fucked with the aesthetic so hard. Also, I think these shelves are different. Yeah, these shelves are somewhat differently organized than they were then. Subscribe, y'all. Peace. Ooh, I do like that, how I faded up the audio. Although, actually, recently, I've changed these well, obviously, the background of the end credits is different. But, hold on, I'll just turn it down. But yeah, so recently I've actually changed the end credit audio where it's more filtered, and it sounds like it's through radio. And this was also before I added the video effects to the running credits and the side credit pieces. But yeah, and it was weird too because this obviously was recorded over a span of time. So, but yeah, that's my Chibi Robo review. Definitely a lot cleaner than the Bloodborne review in a lot of ways, but also a little faulty, I think, in some of the new ways I experimented. Some of the audio transitions could have been cleaner. Some of the, like, well, obviously all the live action shit's weird. I feel like the voice audio transitions are actually nicer, but the gameplay audio transitions could have been a little cleaner. Some of the bits are pretty good, fairly well timed. Not too many of them, though. I definitely went more in the bits direction with the Crypt review. But yeah, anyway, now we're going to go on to the Crypt of the Necrodancer review. I would say my cleanest and most refined review to date. Which means that arguably it lacks some of that sort of raw roughness that the other ones have. Which can be a good thing, you know. It I think, helps to maintain the illusion of first time a bit better, but... I don't know. I would say the trade-offs on this are pretty worth it. Let me make sure I have the audio where I want it. Okay, good. Let's get to it. And before I start this one, I want to say, so the first review is like 17.5 minutes, a bit long. The second review is like 13.5, a bit short. And this one is, I think, a exact 15 minutes on the nose. Boom. This one is perfect as far as the length for what it needs to be. I'm not saying all of them will be that way going on. I think, or going forward, I actually do think I want to make more of a conscious effort to make the review as long or as short as it needs to be. And I think this is the first one, at least as far as I recall, where I felt like the length was good. It was perfect. Wish I got a little more footage, though. And obviously, I hold on. I do kind of a roll in on the opening bit. This review contains huge spoilers for the plot of Crypt of the Necrodancer and some mild profanity. And I do the fun Gruntilda's Lair Banjo-Kazooie music in the background, which is nice. You've been warned.
Hey, ladies and
Why am I so
gentlemen.
quiet there?
2019
Hold
is
on.
over and we
My
don't
voice
have
audio
that
is
many
really
more
quiet.
AAA games
Should have
this
turned
year.
that up a
We
little
have
more.
Star-
Oh, I think I was using my new shotgun mic. This is the first time I think I used that, though. Was it? No, I think I used that for Chibi Robo. Maybe I just forgot to, like, I don't know,
Wars game,
make it better.
new Kojima
I don't know.
thing, some
It's very
Knights
quiet
Souls,
sounding, though.
some Pokemans, and a couple of shooters, but overall, not
Ah, hold on. I want to go back, because, okay, there's a couple cool things here. Okay, first off, okay, I love this one, too. This is my favorite.
hey,
The voice audio is a little
ladies
quiet,
and
but I
gentlemen.
like that I
2019
did...
's over and
Oh,
we
and this is also kind of an old setup, by the way, in the background here. It definitely looks
didn't
different
have
a little
that
bit
many
now.
remarkable
Okay, this is something I did... Oh, why is it... Hold
AAA
on. There shouldn't be a gap there. I must have fucked it up when I did it. This is something I liked in this that I will continue to do in reviews and maybe certain other kinds of videos. Why the cutoff is not exactly right on the left. Sorry, small things are bugging me. Anyway, but this sort of description of like a thing that I'm talking about is really good in terms of meaning I don't have to describe every single little aspect for people who might not be as familiar with the intricacies of video games or the market or whatever. And actually, that's kind of something I nabbed from Death Battle. They do for, like, the characters. They'll have, like, little factual things in the top corner. And I was like, oh, that's a really neat idea. I should use those for my reviews.
games this year. We had a Star Wars game, a new Kojima thing,
And I think that was kind of a rough cut in me, but I think these fun little animations help to really...
Pokemans, and a couple of shooters,
I raised the pitch on everyone.
but overall, not
What was... Hold on. Was that...
AAA games this year. We had a
Is
Star
that because I
Wars
paused
game,
it, or was it
a new
actually that
Kojima
janky?
thing,
Hold on.
some Not Souls, some Pokemans, and a
Couple of shooters.
but overall, not a
No,
lot of
okay.
big
Actually look good.
studio action to be had. And
Oh, and you can see, too, I color corrected a little bit, so it's not as, like, pale as the Chibi Robus. The Chibi Robo one, it looks a little nicer. My only problem so far really is
that's why
my
about
audio is a
midway
little
through the
quiet.
year, I decided to give indie games a try. And boy, am I glad I did. Because in 2019, I've discovered some of the most incredible games.
And I like the voice pacing. I think it's taking me some getting used to right now because I was listening to the other ones where it's like this. But I definitely slowed down on this one and really gave words their time.
Games that could only be made by a
Should have done a couple
smaller
more
team of
takes, though, for sure.
developers who could take
Can always do
risks
more takes,
without
right?
worrying about how it would affect sales, who could drive home a singular
Some weird
vision
cuts. Fucking psh, psh. I think that's like a I think JonTron does that.
tell an interesting story.
But then, this is my problem. See, I had this problem at the time, but I didn't know how to fix it, and I still really don't. Of like, psh, psh, and then there's no sound effect for when I do this. It could be like a, I don't know, something small there maybe.
As
Small
in
gripe.
any industry, not all
Although I gotta say, the like cuts, while they're awkward, they're less awkward than a fade. Ideally, I would have just like re-recorded that bit, but still.
of these games succeeded in their
All right, kind of it's a hot take right there. These games, I'm not saying I don't say the games are shit. I say they didn't succeed in their intention, which I think is fair. Except maybe Erica. I need to replay Erica because it's been a while.
intent, but many of them do.
Yeah, and a lot of these games are games I would recommend too. To the Moon's great, Shovel Knight's great, FTL's great, Stanley Parable, Journey, Dead by Daylight. I don't know if I'd count that as an indie game, but it's still good. Robo Galaxy's fun, Towerfall Ascension.
Of the amazing independent games that
God,
exist,
I'm so
some
quiet.
excel to such an extent that they create their own subgenre.
Yeah.
One such game is Crypt of the Necrodancer.
I love the fucking stock sound effects.
Now, you might be asking yourself,
Who is this James C. Drone fella, what with his opinions and such?
well, you see,
Should have had a better cut there, but it's still funny.
my name's James and I play
Oh, you
video
can
games.
still use the same fucking shitty intro.
Go away.
Oh, I love it. At this point, it's almost scuffed, like, comedically. Oh, the next one will be better, though, actually. I do plan on... Okay. I like that. I like the... I goofed with it with Chibi Robo, and I don't like having the pictures. I just like the text with the background. And I think on each one, I'll make the font different and the background maybe different. I'm not going to do, like, a different color, but maybe, like, black or white or other shades. But yeah, definitely better
While I
though.
didn't have the pleasure of playing it until mid-2019.
It's pretty good audio
Crypt of
fade
the
in.
Necrodancer
I worked on that fade in a lot actually, just trying to get it to be a nice smooth transition
was
and not be like
released back in
hard or
2015
jarring.
by Brace Yourself Games.
And I was actually gonna do a timeline there of like when I played Crypt of the Necrodancer, and it shows like the date, and when it came out, it shows the date or the year or whatever. But I don't know. I just didn't have the time and didn't think it was worth it.
The game combines two disparate genres, roguelike and rhythm game.
Should little sound effects. Little sound effects I think are really like they make the difference, and that could use little sound effects.
And today, I'd like to discuss how it utilizes elements of both genres to form a new, completely
Good audio
unique
mixing here, though.
gaming experience.
Definitely, I would say one thing about this review I'm really proud of is the audio mixing. Like, I went really in depth with that and, like, tried to make every sound like, just right with, like, the volume of other sounds. The only gripe so far is that intro. But I tried really hard both on speaker and headphones to make sure it sounded really good. And you could hear me clearly, but also kind of the game sound and stuff, because that's really important. It's a really important aspect of the game, so.
Its basic gameplay and movement mechanics.
Once again, hard cut, yeah.
Level design.
I think I did like 5 frames, but although I think I wanted it to be more of a fade, but still, it still could have been done much better for sure.
Narrative depth, music, and the way
Text
that it facilitates
text
player
effects are always
agency.
weird. I actually think by this point too, I have a real gripe with Adobe Premiere Pro right now, which is they have this bullshit like graphics interface thing. It's really irritating. And I think they already had that going when I did this one, and so it really made it a pain in the ass to do text.
Through choice. Now the main goal in Crypt of the
You could pull up
Necrodancer
legacy
is to fight
text,
your
but it
way
still
down through
sucks.
the 4 zones of the
And my computer had problems when I was doing this too. Like it would always get really laggy when had these 4 renderings at once, and so it was really hard for me to like edit this part effectively because I would have to export and really like look at it and see how it looks and sounds, and then go back in and re-edit it slightly, and then export and look. Yeah, it sucked.
Necrodancer's dungeon lair
And it's also weird because I have the music from the one I made small, and presumably sound effects for that too, right? Yeah, but there's these 4 other that are muted or audio removed. So I should have instead tried to do like a perfect audio transition into the track and made that quieter. That would have been a pain in the ass, but actually would have sounded probably a bit better there.
defeat the Necrodancer himself. It's a simple premise.
Ah, weird
and it
cut.
acts as a
Always was a weird cut, always will be, but it's fine.
familiar narrative foundation.
Doesn't bother me that
upon which
much.
The game's gameplay can juxtapose its odder facets.
It's weird that I'm like, basic narrative there. Hold on. I want to hear what I say.
It's a simple premise, and it
Oh, you get stronger, you beat the boss.
acts as a familiar
It's basic, so it supports the fact that the game has weird shit.
narrative
Okay, I get it.
foundation upon which the game's gameplay can
Narrative foundation. I always didn't like how I said that.
juxtapose its odder facets.
Sound like a douchebag.
While Crypt of the Necrodancer's gameplay bears echoes
Good music.
from classics such as the original Legend of Zelda,
Once again, footage from my playthrough of Legend of Zelda with my boy Kieran from Kick-Ass Content, which I don't know if this is even up there. Probably not. But yeah, I did this nice, and I really like this effect of just the fade. And then he goes, and it fades. Just a really good mix of audio and visuals there.
Every aspect of this game perfectly composites that.
Oh man, Cadence of Hyrule hadn't come out yet, but if it did, I could have like tried to blend the audio with the Cadence of Hyrule Zelda audio. And it's actually, that's really interesting because I made this. Okay, maybe I actually made this after Cadence came out. But it's interesting that I think I wrote it before and made it after, I believe. No, wait, Cadence of Hyrule came out this year, didn't it? Yeah, I thought that was 2019 for some reason. I'm pretty sure it's 2020. But anyway, my point is that it's interesting I make a Zelda comparison when they actually came out with this and Zelda crossover game.
Core idea. But the first one that I'd like
Not
to
saying any of them
discuss
watched
is
my
gameplay.
review, but
In
it's still
Crypt of the
interesting.
Necrodancer, you can only move
Oh, this was a
time
bitch to
with
get the
the
audio
music,
right.
as displayed by the pulsing heart at the bottom of the screen. And the only
I still don't like how that times out. Though, doesn't time out perfectly with the fade. And I should have just slowed the sound down. It would have been weird, but it would have worked better.
skill you absolutely need is a sense of rhythm.
It's true.
Because not only do you move to the beat of the music, but
You just
so do
need
all your
rhythm.
enemies.
It's all.
You move into a monster, you damage them, and if they move into you, they damage you. Additionally, different types of monsters have different movement.
And I feel like this is actually a really good. The way I do this right here is a really good showcase of all the different, a bunch of different monsters.
The player has to understand how a sizable number of monsters,
Although it's a little undercut by the fact I have an overpowered ass bow.
fully fight around and into said monsters to survive in a flashy, dancing duel.
Yeah, I perform really well there
This is
actually.
simplified by the fact that the player can only go in 4 directions. However, the ever-increasing quantity and strength of enemies means that the player will never be in want of a fun, challenging fight. Now, while it's true,
I did a fun little like, I had a really interesting time with this one, merging game sounds with transitions. Like there, you could hear like a "woo-doo" as it flips. I worked really hard on that.
once you move to the
Whoops,
beat of
what
the
did I do?
music, there's several gameplay mechanics I've not yet discussed that make you
Nice
want
cut.
to move to the beat of the music. The first
I worked really hard on cuts and transitions, I think, on this one. And really just, this one has the most polish of any I've done so far, for sure. It's really cleaned up.
The ground turns into a disco
Yeah.
dance floor, which is just a really fun visual. Secondly, and more mechanically significant, the longer you stay in beat with the music, the bigger your coin multiplier gets, up to a maximum of ×4. Now this is
Okay, I like that I reused that. Timing's still slightly off in terms of length of sound. I think I actually made it quicker there to try to match it, but if the timing was like just slightly different, that bit would be perfect, and the fact I use it twice is great, although comedy should come in 3s, and I don't think I did it a 3rd time. In fact, I even think I consciously remember thinking about that as I was doing it, but there wasn't another time where that would make sense. But I am, hold on,
Secondly, and
what am I
more
talking about here?
significant, the longer you stay in beat with the music, the bigger your coin multiplier gets.
That's right, yeah, coin multiplier. Although I should have shown it rising,
This is
but
actually really important
whatever.
because the
I
coin
still, my
multiplier
point gets
is
across,
for
which is
monsters
the important
by
part.
various adventurers' tools from the game's item shop.
I love the merchant voice. I think I bring it up at some point that I just love his voice. But it's actually, I think it's a real guy that does it. I don't know if they filter it down at all because the game has really like 16-bit style music, but it's
Each
great.
level has a
Good
new
transition
merchant
too.
whom you can purchase 3 randomly
Nice.
generated pieces of gear, and the items you get can be anything from new boots that let you walk unaffected over hazardous.
Okay, the hazardous terrain one's hard to find that footage for. Because, like, this slows you down, and normally in this you take a step, have to wait a beat, take a step, wait a beat, and the boots let you go through that. But then I bring up
Bar and hot coals
the coals, and that's not really
to various weapons
as big an issue, and also I don't think the boots I use there.
that modify
Also should have been a or some kind of sound here. Small sound effects here would, I think, for me, would have just made it even better.
damage. Plus,
I don't know. That's all, though.
innumerable other items besides that have their own categories and range of
Sped that up.
effects.
It's good. I sped up the music. Sped it. That was a good little...
For those
It's
of
good.
you familiar with the rogue
Okay, hold on. Where am I at? 447. Do I do like a earlier when I say AAA?
drive home a singular vision or
Hold on.
games that could only be made decided to give indie games a try and a couple of shooters, but
Hold on.
overall, not
I'm
a lot of
curious
big
if I...
studio action to
Hold
be
on.
had. And that's why Kojima. Hey, ladies and
I'm curious when I say AAA.
2018's over and we didn't have that many
There is a sound. Okay, I wasn't sure if there was a sound effect for it. All right. As long as I kept the sound effects, like, you know... As long as I was consistent with sound effects, that's what matters to me. Okay, cool.
that modify your attack range and damage. Plus, innumerable other items besides that have their own categories.
I have a lot less
and
gripes
range
about
of
this review.
effects. Now, for those of you familiar
Did a lot
with
less
the
wrong on this
roguelike
one.
Genre, many of
Roguelike genre.
the gameplay
I probably could have left
described
these up
are nothing
slightly longer.
particularly
I know.
extraordinary or
It's
new
good.
to the genre, but they're so satisfying.
I could have done like a reverse sound effect when it's going back. It's more just a note for something I can maybe do in the future. It's not really a critique.
Context of dancing, but they feel completely fresh and unique.
Yeah.
So in summary, you kill monsters to get gold to buy gear to kill more monsters.
Yeah.
It's really
Well
fun,
shown, well
simple, and
said.
solid from a gameplay perspective, with enough challenge to it to keep players actively engaged. And it creates
I would say I think this review is my best integration of stating my opinion and how I feel with sort of, with facts and mechanics about the game. Like, I think that those mesh the best in this review. Yeah, I don't know.
really nice
Just think it looks,
preparatory
it's
build
really
for
well done.
fighting bosses. As I previously
Trying not to pat myself in the back too much, but I love... There's a lot about this one I like, so I'm okay with complimenting it. I also like how when she drops down, I did a page down there. It was just good. It's just good, man. Although, hold on.
gameplay
Wait, do
perspective,
I do a
with enough
full...
challenge to it to keep players actively engaged.
Because I think
And
there's
it
a
creates really nice
version, like a
exploratory build-up for
push or a
fighting bosses.
slide. I could have done a...
As I previously
Yeah, so I did a push down. I should have done a slide down, which I think would have removed that weird border.
mentioned, the crypt has
Oh, also, I put the border around it. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why did I don't know, man. I don't know. I probably could have just done transitions within the border itself. Like, of just the footage within the border. I don't know why I didn't do that. When we get to, like, the video projects later, I want to look and see if I did I think I did the border as a separate source from the video. But so I am very curious to see if I did that, why I didn't just do why I did transitions on everything and not just within the border. But I don't know. Maybe I recorded the border with the video. I suppose we'll see.
4 zones that the player has
Or
to fight
Patreon
through.
people will.
And each zone is divided into 3 sub-levels with
Yeah.
mini-bosses plus a boss level.
And I was very careful, too, to show... Obviously, I show all 4 zones here. But I wanted to show less of the later zones. But it was really hard for me to find a balance between... Because each zone has a unique aesthetic. And so I really wanted to make it varied and different and interesting to look at, right? For people who take it in aesthetically and visually. I wanted to make that an aspect that you could really take in and appreciate. However, at the same time, I also wanted to kind of show as little of the later zones as I could, so 3 and particularly 4, to try to make sure that if players like followed my recommendations and played this game, that they had some stuff that was open and fresh for them. Especially because, every time you die, the zone sort of resets. So,
Alright,
that, yeah,
once you
that was
figure out the
important.
movement patterns, but the big boss fights are
Also, I think I did record this with the border around it. I believe I did. And then I think I just cropped the border. Because you could see in that other frame that the top of, like, shovel is a little cut off. So I think I just had, like, a crop preset when I needed to get rid of the border for whatever reason.
absolutely
Which,
awesome.
definitely going into my next review. It'll be more of a pain in the ass, but I think in terms of, like, really making it look good and flow together really well, I think recording without the border and then inserting the border later would probably look a lot better.
Stage's unique gimmicks and their challenging attack combos, but it mostly comes down to the player themselves.
Something that shares with Bloodborne, really fun bosses. Although in this game they're considerably easier than Bloodborne.
You see,
They provide enough of a challenge, and it's enough about, like, learning them and their patterns that it's still really fun.
boss, a
And it's
reasonably
satisfying.
experienced player like me, for
Yeah.
instance, will generally be armed to the teeth with great armor, a powerful weapon, some spells, and a couple other buffing items, but also pretty low on health. And even if you've got some life left, bosses can often deal heavy, damaging attacks that destroy a player.
Alright, so I'm so good at this game, I couldn't find an example of the boss killing me. As you can see, I actually have no gear when I die here. It's because this game is a mode where you can just fight each boss, like, individually, in, like, a room where you can just do the boss fight. So I just did that to get the footage of the boss killing me. This isn't actually, like, a boss stage. Like, you can't actually hurt him while he's on there. Fun fact. I cheated, essentially, when recording this. Because I didn't, when you get to the boss, it's kind of hard, and so you don't want to, like, have to fucking get your ass whooped and restart. So I just took the easy way. But hopefully no one notices.
And
Until I
what's more,
just
if you
explained it
lose
right
to a
now.
boss, you lose all of your
This was fun.
hard-fought gear.
I hit a hard reset button, and I just reset this level, like, 5 or 6 times.
This I could see as a point of contention. Some players
Could have done more.
easily
I need a more
frustrated by
whoosh.
kind
I
of
need better
discouraging to
sounds.
have to keep replaying the same levels over and over again. But I was just having so much fun playing the game that replaying a zone a couple
Fucking
times
love it.
didn't bug me too much. I also feel that this regression creates
And then a
lot more
delay,
tension in the
and then
boss
ends the
fights
bit. It's
and
good.
really raises the stakes, making it more satisfying when you finally beat one and are one zone closer to fighting the Necrodancer.
Boom.
Another reason that
Whoosh. Whoosh. Down to 7th
recurring
attempt.
zones is that their layout is randomly generated every time you play them. So Zone 2 Level 1 still feels
Zone
fresh
2
even
Level
though
1.
attempting
Right
it
at the
for
bottom there.
7th time in a row.
There you go.
However,
Nice.
Crypt of the Necrodancer, I think, effectively utilizes the concept of randomly generated levels in several other ways as well. First off, it provides the player with
Those fucking, like, laser spitting pig guys, they suck. I hate them. Like, they're cool, but they're so mean.
a shovel that they can use to break through walls. This even further opens up exploration in the game's levels and perfectly puts the impetus of discovery in the hands of you, the player, to experience at your own pace.
So well said. There's a lot of moments in this review where I just feel like I make a point really well, and that's definitely one of them. Where it's just like, it's the levels are really open, but you don't have to explore all of them. It's open, explore at your own pace. Discover stuff or don't, just move to the next level. Man, it puts the impetus of discovery on the player. It's nearing the edge where it almost sounds too like arty smarty, but not quite. Like it's perfect.
See, on one hand, the more you explore, the more loot you might collect, and the stronger you might
Yeah.
become. But for more inexperienced players, lengthy exploration can often result in health loss and having to prematurely waste valuable healing items.
There are moments too, by the way, when I'm recording these, like that one, where I get injured or I have to heal. Where if I was actually like trying to play really hard, it probably wouldn't happen. Like in all my reviews, I've had the checklist of like, all right, I need a clip of this kind of footage, because it's stuff I experienced more on my first playthrough or as I was playing early on. Which I guess is kind of an interesting thing to bring up, which is that I never necessarily draw points from my third or fourth or fifth playthrough, because I usually don't make it to that many. It's more, I guess, what I think about this game playing it the first time, which I suppose is a point I should make more explicitly, because I think that's important to review. But I think it's also important to write a review as though someone's only playing a game one time, because then it's a review of the game as opposed to a review of the game played twice, the game played thrice, that kind of thing. But, I mean, I guess it's breaking the magic, but there are definitely moments you have to manufacture some footage when you're just not bad enough to actually have it happen.
To decide how much you want to risk.
And also, manufacturing the footage a little bit, or sort of triggering certain things to happen, is a good way to get timing right on footage. When shit just happens, sometimes it just happens when you don't expect, so you can't like have a nice setup, a nice payoff. And especially in this review, I wanted all the timings to be really precise, and really just like, here's this point, here's this point, here's this point, like perfectly paced. And I think getting the footage exactly as I wanted it, and exactly as much as I wanted. And I tried to record less, too, to save memory space, which is nice. But getting exactly what I wanted, I think, really enabled me to... What's the right way to put it? All right, have a good one, Luminous. And also, there will be extra up on Patreon within a couple days that won't be in the stream. If you want, you can always check it out there. But yeah, so you can get really more precise timings if you manufacture the events. And it still proves my point.
As with every great dungeon in history, the caves and crypts in this game are littered with random traps that perfectly complement its gameplay. Like buttons that you can step on that speed up or slow down the
Actually,
rhythm of the music.
it's weird because I actually sped up and slowed down the sound, and so the pitch is all wrong, which you'll hear.
Which bounce you in a particular direction.
No, there's a moment. Yeah, this is actually a good point. Although I don't know if I use it most effectively there, but that's definitely a good point how you can utilize. Oh, and this part gets weird here with, okay, it's gonna go into slowdown on audio and then speed up with the shopkeeper, which is kind of contrary to the point I'm about to make, but I don't know. It's flawed, but it's as good as I could get it realistically.
The final nuance of the game's exploration that I really appreciate is that he sings the chorus of the level's theme, and his singing gets louder the closer you get to him.
See, I slowed it down though.
Finding his voice a little annoying,
The pitch is about to rise.
found it charming, but either way, it's ultimately
Yep.
a very useful tool for
Because the
locating
speed goes back
items
up,
on any-
which actually, now that I think about it, it's a good sort of continuation almost of the previous point, and it integrates it really well. So I think that's actually not as bad as I originally thought, just because it's not perfect for my own sort of ego, but I think it works well enough to not really be an issue. Also, why did I not use... Okay, just remembered something. I think... Yeah, that's right. Alright, I'm about to bring something up that'll blow your fucking minds. When I played this game for the purpose of review, I had all my hotkeys configured to my controller, but I think I wanted to play it on PC instead. Or I did PC for pickup shots because I didn't want to keep reconnecting my controller because I didn't realize that on Steam you could have your controller via Bluetooth. Which actually I've never played this game with it on Bluetooth. I definitely need to go back in and give it another try because it was really glitchy on USB. But anyway, something definitely I need to try. But yeah, so you'll notice I never use my items, I don't think, ever once on any of the pickup shots because, or maybe even most of the early shots, because most of it I was like, all right, I just need this small thing. I went into the game, played it on controller, but I had the hotkeys, or played it on mouse and keyboard, but I had the hotkeys set for controller. So I couldn't press the buttons to activate items. So I just couldn't use items. So I just would play through and get the footage I needed without using any items. Fun fact.
Given level. And I think it's an even more brilliant touch because it feels so naturally integrated into the game's world. So there's a lot of ways that Crypt of the Necrodancer maximizes the potential of its random level design. And one of the game's greatest strengths is that replaying levels 2, 5, or even 11 times is still so much fun.
I feel like my voice audio could have been slightly louder in this. I don't know. I think I probably recorded it a little quieter. I don't know. My mic is at different levels at different times, depending on sort of where I'm at. I've really been focusing on that more recently and trying to really hammer it down. Also, I did a good transition here. Fade between one cadence right here to another cadence. A little cuckoo transition. I did a clock wipe and a cuckoo sound. That was fun. It's more of an editing joke.
This game's sense of humor, particularly in the naming conventions of its songs, which are all charming bits of wordplay like rhythm mortis.
Oh yeah, and I actually got the Crypt of the Necrodancer soundtrack. I actually have the CD over there, but I wanted to, support them since I was using their music. And so actually all the sounds are from the soundtrack. I just downloaded the sounds from the CD. So all some of them are just in-game with in-game sound effects, but a lot of the songs you're hearing right now when I talk about the music is from the soundtrack itself. And I think I also pulled this cover art from that.
Knight to C sharp.
Although maybe I pulled that from online, but still. That was it. It's really good. Although, see, you can hear the other music. I'm panning because this had its own sort of music. Danny Baranowski, by the way, check him out. He's got some great stuff.
But I unfortunately don't have time to mention all of those.
Such an awkward transition. I love it. It's intentionally awkward.
Basic but heartfelt, and it shows that you don't need.
I wish I had. I don't think this game has subtitles, but if it does, I wish I'd gotten those. Because, no, you know what? I think I did. Another example of me getting someone else's footage. Because since I'd already beaten the game, I couldn't watch the cutscenes. And I didn't want to fully restart my game since, I'd beaten it. I'd beaten the Necrodancer and unlocked cool stuff. So I didn't want to completely restart it and reset all my items and all my gems and stuff. So what I did is I found, I think, a compilation of the cutscenes online. But I wish I had tried to get them with subtitles or put in my own subtitles or something. Because while I'm trying to make my point here, you can't really hear what they're saying. And it was weird when mixing the audio because obviously I want to make myself heard. Because that's the point. But the game needs to support that point well enough, and it was very difficult
I'd now like to discuss
when
the
you
game's
can't hear what she's
It's
saying.
Basic but heartfelt, and it shows that you don't need an overly complex story to feel an emotional.
Subtitles though would have
connection
made
to
this
the
bit
protagonist
perfect.
That keeps you playing. In the beginning.
Also, that and then keeps you playing. I think there's an audio cut there. I only noticed it because I was listening for it. It's a pretty subtle one, though, and it's not bad. In fact, I think I just shortened the time between the audio to try to... I did a lot of, micro cutting to really just try to hammer this thing down and make it really nice. But, yeah, this could use subtitles.
Wholehearted eagerness that you share with Cadence, unaware of the many challenges that lie in store.
Yeah.
Then, later into the game...
I guess the visuals depict well enough.
the loss of her mother,
Some
and
subtitles
our
would have been
insight
nice,
to
though.
why her father left. Although the golden loot actually being a golden loot
Yeah.
was a laughably predictable
true.
plot twist given the game's
The
general
plot's not super
musical
strong,
theme.
but
I
doesn't need
even
to be.
guessed
It's not about the
pretty
plot.
early on, since the Necrodancer used the loot to resurrect Cadence at the beginning of the game, her father may have gone into the dungeon to try
Obviously,
to
this is where it gets into spoilers, but fuck it. You get warned at the beginning of the video, you know?
same loot to bring
And I think that's nice, too. Warning players about spoilers at the beginning allows me to kind of freely get into it. And also, I didn't mind as much with this game because, as I sort of mentioned, the plot isn't, like, the biggest draw. You know, like, when you have a fun twist toward the end that, her father is controlled, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You free him, and...
mother back, which ended up being the case. Although I hadn't guessed that the penultimate boss,
Yeah.
Dead Ringer,
It's a fun twist, but the game's not about it, which is why it's fine. Also, Dead Ringer kicked my ass the first couple times I fought him.
became an even more cathartic twist when, after you beat him in a super hard boss fight, which took me many attempts,
True.
you free him and team up for the ultimate Necrodancer smackdown. And I mean, seriously, by the time you...
Okay. Something important to bring up here. Because it's a contradiction. Okay. The first time I played this game, I had no trouble with the Necrodancer. Super easy. We took his ass down really quick. But I think that's an aspect of the RNG of this game, whereas you're going through a dungeon, the loot is randomized, the locations are randomized, so you get different gear. Because every time after that, it was a pain in the ass to beat this guy. To the point where I had to try a couple different times, in fact, to beat him, to record the
Once
footage.
you fight the Necrodancer, you're so loaded up with powerful
Yeah,
loot, and
but
it's
I make the point,
satisfyingly wonderful.
basically I make the point that supports what happened in my first playthrough. Which I guess is an argument for the benefit of multiple playthroughs before writing a script, but I don't know. I just feel like if I do that, the analysis is somewhat tainted by player experience. You know, the review's supposed to support kind of like the experience of playing it the first time. Technically not the end of the plot, by the way. I think I only learned this after I reviewed it. Different characters, or maybe I learned this after I scripted and had recorded it and I didn't want to do more. But other side characters have their own little mini plots. Like her mother has a plot that adds to this, and then there's more plot. Like like I said, other characters, you can play as them, like her father. And I even bring up you can play other characters. But, yeah. So technically, this is the end of... I should have been more... I should have clarified more this is the end of the main plot. Because I guess you could see those others as side plots or addendums. But that's really... It's a minor thing, but it mattered to me. Definitely, when I learned that. And I also really like here how I do the transition in the
And there
music
you go.
between the cutscene and me, and I keep the music going, but kind of quieter. It's really kind of soft and sad.
Or weird micro aliens. Chibi Robo.
And yeah, the plot of Chibi Robo sucks, so any opportunity I can take to diss it is good. Little weird fuck up here.
Or weird micro
When I... Hold on. Yeah. Oh, that's weird. You can see the cutoff point for the video. I don't know why I didn't notice that when I was editing it. Or maybe I did and I just didn't have time, but I should have definitely kept the cut like a little closer while it was tilted and then kind of faded it back into the wider screen. It would have looked better, but small thing.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
The barn door's there. I couldn't find a good transition. I thought of doing like just a crossfade, but it looked any transition I did there would have looked awkward, trust me. That was the best I could think of, and even that was inelegant. Probably I really got more into using wipes since then, so I should have just used a wipe there, but you know, I didn't know at the time. You learn, right? You learn more about the medium and you get better at it.
Cough in such a long and convoluted way.
This is the second time I bring up a previous review. In Chibi Robo, I brought up Bloodborne, and this I bring up Chibi Robo. Boom. It's a nice, for me, I think it's a nice little way to integrate my reviews into my own James C. Drone canon, as fucking stupid as that sounds. But, yeah, I don't know. And I get to reuse this asset, which is nice. And it's an awkward cut, but it's an awkward cut because I didn't maintain that look for long enough.
Anyway,
And I didn't feel like re-recording it.
Simple and unobtrusive Crypt of the Necrodancer's plot
Should have done a slower audio fade in, but it's fine.
frozen yogurt that is the
Also, I think this was... I believe this was Lynn, or Affinity, that did this art, and it's wonderful. I love it. But yeah, I had her do it in 2 layers with the toppings and the frozen yogurt. And I think it was either Lynn or Baguette. I hope I'm crediting the right. I think it was Lynn, and I think Baguette did the one for the. I think Baguette did extra like cover art. I'm not sure though.
Fucking love frozen yogurt. Now,
I love that bit. Oh, I should have maintained it just a split second longer.
if the plot is Necrodancer's metaphorical toppings,
Maybe though, maybe my comedic appreciations change though. I mean, I think it's fair to acknowledge like different things make you laugh as time goes on. So I think maybe I have more of a measured pace. And it's really hard too to keep something at a gripping pace while also getting comedy timings right. So I think I was still finding that balance, and hopefully whatever my next review is, I mean I know, but you don't. But hopefully my next review has the timing even better, you know, because this one's already better than the other ones.
then its music is the game's milk. That's to say, if you tried to replace this game's soundtrack with coconut milk, it'd sound like shit.
That's me pouring coconut milk that I bought just for that bit. I got coconut milk for that bit. We had like a little like, I don't know what you call it, like a collage, like display board. So I just put that in the back, put like a black rug under it, and my shotgun mic has like a 50-foot cable, so I just took it out to the outer rooms and just had it set up on the counter and just recorded it. Yeah.
Music in this
Sounds so gross, but I love it. I maybe should have continued that a little bit longer after pouring it, like continued the sound, like remove the image but continue the, I don't know, I have ideas for how I could do things, you know, and sometimes you just have to choose a creative option and just run with it, you know. If you keep like second guessing stuff, nothing gets created, and I like that this at least got created, so that's good.
absolutely love it.
I haven't listened to the music in a little while, but it's very good.
Every level has a different theme, and the tunes increase in complexity and intensity as the game goes on.
That's another one of those weird moments where I stepped on that, hold on, I'll use my mouse. Stepped on this little speed boost pad, so it sounds really quick, and then you hear it slow down a little bit. I love this track, by the way. I think it's something Crypt. I don't know.
Actually, the 16-bit
Nice transition.
is pretty important because it lends itself to a very well-defined set of beats that are easier for a player to detect and dance to.
Yeah, really good points.
However, on the off chance that you don't enjoy the game's soundtrack, Necrodancer offers the awesome option to import your own music tracks and levels, and even set your own custom beat if you're feeling really crazy. The only odd thing about this feature
I love that cut though. Boop. It took a while to get the timing exactly as I wanted it on that, and I think it really paid off.
is that the game's sound effects are
I love this
still
song in general.
so high quality.
All right, hold on. Slight thing. Still
And even set your own
16-bit.
custom beat if
When I
you're
say
feeling
still
really
16-bit, it doesn't
crazy.
sound quite right.
The
It sounds like it's like still a 16-bit. Like I don't know.
only odd thing about this feature
Listen.
is that the game's sound effects are still 16-bit.
Still, I feel like I hover over the L sound slightly too long, and it makes that sound awkward. But other than that, though, it's perfect.
So high quality music sounds a little out of
And it's true. It's true. When you have good, like, high quality, high fidelity music playing, and you have this, like, old, like, 16-bit boing boing like sound effects,
Now,
it
by this
really
point,
clashes. But I still think it's fine.
you may have noticed a common idea that weaves itself through almost every
Ooh.
facet of this game, which is player choice.
True.
Crypt of the Necrodancer grants players an insane
I really
degree
like
of
this bit.
choice
How I just
and
keep the music
agency,
going.
even down to the way they play the game. Now, for me, I played it on my
I think I
using
quiet
a
it down
PlayStation
here.
4
Yeah.
controller, and was easily able to
And those are just stock images I found online. Obviously, it's not my PC and not my PS4. I don't have a white PS4 controller. I have a Star Wars one and a black one, but it's fast, right?
change the game's
It's fast to
controls
get
play
stuff like
however
that.
I felt was the most comfortable.
Yeah.
But I could have also used my keyboard, an Xbox One controller, or even a dance pad.
Yeah.
But the choices run
Game has a lot of
deeper
options.
than that.
It's really
in the
it's a good
characters
thing.
that you get to choose that all have their own play gimmicks. It's in the gear that you choose to keep in your item pool, the items that you choose to bring with you into the dungeon, and
Yeah.
even in how much you want to explore.
That always bugged me a little bit when I did that transition in the music. I felt like I should have just kept the other music going, but I think the reason I transition is because it jumps into the we've been spending, and then you hear the voice, and I'm pretty sure I was worried at the time it would inflict like a bunch of copyright stuff. there'd be a lot of copyright problems with that, which is why I kept it kind of quiet and the talking often in the background. But also having another voice singing while you're speaking can be a little distracting. So
Moving down to the next level.
yeah, but it is a weird transition, and this is a weird transition too. I inserted that Wilhelm, by the way. I just felt like it fit, you know, someone jumping off a ship.
Through the Titanic.
And then I insert the Howie scream here.
So much choice. So
Yeah.
much choice.
I insert the Howie scream and the Wilhelm there. Two of my favorite sound effects. And anywhere I can slip them in, man, I'm always happy to. And I actually had to do some cuts here. I do like the sound of glass breaking as it's going to black.
So in conclusion,
And it took me a while too to find the exact like timing for how I wanted that the cut to black to be, and I think I got it about right.
I would rate Crypt of the Necrodancer a perfect 100 because it is a perfectly
true.
crafted game. Each intricate system
Should be like needed small sound effects. Really, that's all this review's missing, in my opinion, is a little more micro sound details.
supports the overall design. And not a single second of my playtime felt wasted on unimportant or unnecessary bullshit. Additionally, I absolutely love how the game encourages players to play it their own way, with the wide level of choice that it provides in the control device they use, items they select, and character they play with. It's gaming at its finest, and most importantly,
You can see me looking at the script. There's that. If you pay attention to this review, you can see a couple times I'm looking at the script. Look at I keep glancing down. It's I needed to rehearse this more, and I think I was impatient at the time because I actually recorded this. I think as I was getting into editing, like after I recorded gameplay, I recorded all these live action bits, and I think really I was just like at that point I was eager to get it over with, which while understandable is unfortunate. I think. If I'd taken some more time and really just like got it all committed to memory, I think it would have been a little better. Rhythmically tap that like button, by the way, was my dad's idea. I give him full credit for that. It's genius. Also, the idea was really comedic to me of like somebody tapping it and untap it, like just like unlike, or, you know, like I don't know. I just thought that was a funny idea.
Got your own thoughts on Crypt of the Necrodancer.
My bow tie is slightly crooked. It's not a big thing, but I just noticed it.
Or another game, let me know in the
Sure, it's
comments
pissing some
below.
OCD person off. I'm so sorry.
James C. Drone,
Signing off. And there were like 3 different takes of that last bit, and that was the best one, I think. I love here. Oh, I wish I had the new filtering on it, but or my updated filtering. But I love the fade into the ending here. And then the music getting louder. And also transitioning, because that music transitions into sort of another part, which is what this is. And I think it's just really good. And also, I made a conscious decision to use my real name rather than James C. Drone. Yeah, so I did a lot of the thumbnail, but Baguette helped. And then Affinity did the Froyo. That's right. Making sure I'm crediting the right people here. And Baguette did, I think, the Froyo I used for the cover. I think it's 2 different Froyos. They both made Froyo. I think I DM'd a couple people and be like, hey, could you help make me a thing for this? And they were like, yeah, and they helped. It was super cool. Yeah, man. Okay, recording, though, took like a month. Okay, so never mind. It wasn't like 2 weeks. Yeah, it was like a month of recording for this. That seems about right. So, yeah, that was a look at the 3 reviews I've done. I think that it's cool to see how I improved them from one to another and the ways in which some of them are still a little flawed, you know? I had a really awesome time doing this. This video, if you're watching on Patreon, will obviously continue. And I'll be discussing and talking about the video projects themselves and pulling those up, hopefully, unless it's too laggy. But if you're watching on YouTube, that's going to be the end of the stream. Why did my recording stop? How long ago did my recording stop? Hopefully not too long ago. Jeepers creepers. I hope not too long ago. But anywho, that's going to be the end of that. Hope you have a great rest of your day, ladies and gentlemen. Much love and respect. James C. Drone, signing off.